Right, let's just turn this live on. Let's see if get it up and running. Just checking to see if I can see it. Get a few people coming in. Hello, Lawrence. How's it going? I can already see my man's coming to the bottom of the screen already. I can see you, Mark, if you can hear me. I'll hear you. As soon as I bring you on the screen, we'll hear you. Thanks, Mark. I'm just going to say a quick thank you. Big thanks to my man, Mr. Lee Owen, for his support with Owen Developments. You can catch them guys out on www.owendevelopments.co.uk. You can see that going across the screen. Mr. Winslet, how's it going? How are you, Lawrence? Lol, how's it going? Hello, all. Right, I can see quite a few of you coming on already. What we'll do, we'll get this cracking on because the man's in here. I will just, my missus has just put the link up there. Look, I'll put it up on the screen. If you go in the comments on Facebook to make sure that I can see your profiles, like Lawrence, look there, Adam, Chris there, look, how you doing, buddy? Callum, because there's one there, look, like that. It comes up and I won't be able to see who I'm talking to. Hello there, big hello to Mark. So you guys there, if you just click on that link in the comments there, look, that my missus has put in there, or you can just come out of the video, click on the link on the page and then come in. And same whoever put that there. And same there to my man from Panama as well. If you can just go on that link that my missus has put in there, look in the comments, you can just comment on that. Right, I can see quite a few of you in here. Let's get this going. Right, here we go then. Let's get this countdown going and bring the man in. Here we go. Right, let's bring the man in. Former British champion, the man himself. Hopefully it all works good. Hopefully you can hear me. Mr. Mark Banks, how's it going?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Beautiful. Where are you there, Mark? It looks beautiful there. What's going on? It looks lovely in the background. What's going on there?
Sitting in the dining room table.
That's beautiful. Lot of nice wood in the background. It looks lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's beautiful,
You'll have to excuse the dogs if they bark.
Oh, that's all right. That's just, that could be some of the fans online. How are you, Mark, anyway?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
Quite a few online already. Much appreciated for your time for doing this, buddy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Right, let's get into it then. So, obviously, I've seen your business, the Banks Group, but I was going to ask you what you've been doing since you retired from professional motocross, but we're sort of aware of your company. If you could just tell us, the guys that don't know, what you've been doing.
I finished racing. When did I finish? 1991. And I think I rode a couple of races in 1992. And after that, I stopped and obviously went and worked in the Honda dealership in Bury St Edmunds selling cars. And then from that, basically we bought some more and expanded it from 92 to where we are today with quite a few dealerships across East Anglia, and we have Honda cars, Suzuki cars, Hyundai cars, Renault, Dacia, Alpine, Honda motorcycles, and we've got more multiples of those in the different towns from Ipswich to Cambridge, really. So we were in motorbikes, we got out of motorbikes, and then we're back in motorbikes now, which is quite a big part of the business again. But we sell every Honda product apart from the off-road bikes, believe it or not. The motocross, the CRF 250 and the CRF 450 are the only ones we don't sell.
It's the only ones you don't sell.
Yeah, they're the only ones we don't sell, believe it or not.
I've got a nice picture here, look.
Yeah, that would have been where my granddad obviously was a builder. He was quite a big builder in the after the war and what have you. He had 200 or 300 people work for him, and that originally was, he built a housing estate, and that was a petrol station and a car workshop where my dad and the business, the garage there, they started selling. I think they sold Robin Reliance from there, as well as petrol and servicing. And then that's where he started the motorcycle shop when he finished racing, 1973, 74. That would have been, I don't know when that picture is. I can't tell that back, but there'd have been early 70s with those bikes. But it was at Abbott Road. That's where he started the motorcycle business.
It all started. So I was reading up, and it was sort of see a bit where you wrote on there of like how few people that you started off were working for the company and everything, and how many you're obviously guys and girls you got working for you now. It's a massive thing for you guys now, isn't it?
Yeah, no, to be fair, we got so many staff. It's the staff is the biggest bugbear, really. Is every single day is a staffing issue, whether it's, you know, we need more or there's a problem, or, you know, we lost a few in COVID. You know, that was, you know, at the time of COVID, obviously we thought that was the right thing, but obviously now when we came back after COVID, we should have kept a load more, really, but you know, we cut about 25, 30 people, but I think we've got them nearly all, you know, we've replaced most of them now and probably a few more, but yeah, that's the horrible bit.
Looks like that's what a lot of the companies are having problems with, including it's much publicised, the airports and all that, the airport staff. Obviously, the people now, they need them all back as soon as possible, don't they, with all the business?
Yeah, we used to have quite a lot of foreign valeters and stuff work for us, which a lot of those, I think they took the government money and have gone home, so they don't have to pay it back. I reckon that's why they haven't returned.
Yeah, exactly. Classic.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So obviously it's been a thing. Obviously the whole Banks family. Obviously it's your dad, John Banks. I've been reading up on all of it, checking out what I didn't know. I knew bits, but didn't know everything. So he was obviously a multi-British champion himself, runner-up in the World Championship and everything as well. Then obviously yourself, and then obviously we've got Elliot Banks Brown now as well. Is he still racing now? I haven't seen much of him lately.
I don't know. I'll ask you the same question. I don't know. I went to watch yesterday. My son-in-law at Lewis Tombs at Blackpool, and people were asking me, "Is he still riding?" And I don't know. I presume not. I think he must have retired, but he hasn't told us.
Right. Okay, so you haven't seen him for a while.
No. He was on holiday the other week, and but no, he's not riding at the minute. I think he's riding at Fox Hills. I know that.
Oh, so he's riding in the vets.
In the vets, he's probably getting ready for that.
Yeah, yeah. A bit of a track to come back to as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I see you guys are involved, aren't you, with the Dave King and Dot Wob? I was speaking to him the other day, and obviously Dave said to me, "Oh, I've seen obviously on all the advertisements, you guys are like sponsoring the event as well."
Yeah, we're main sponsor of that. Wob, got me on a good day in November, I think it was, or something like that, when he did it, and yeah, he talked me into that. It was just as we were doing the group budgets for the group, so so it was lucky it got wrote into the marketing budget just in time. So yeah, so we're doing that again, and had to have another load of banners made, which cost a fortune because they never return.
Yeah, it's a job to get them back.
Yeah,
souvenir hunters go running off of these things as well.
Yeah.
You must be looking forward to that. It's going to be obviously a massive event. Obviously, the first time they've crossed over from Farley over to Fox Hill, which I'm pleased about, being in my hometown and all. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a massive event. You must be all really looking forward to it in general. Everyone seems to be.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a good race, and just hope the weather holds up really. But everyone will be there anyway, won't they? As long as they can get in and get parked. You know, what will be will be. But
yeah, fingers
you know,
crossed for the weather as well.
you can't tell, can you, by the
No,
you
it
know.
should be good. Looking forward to it. Should be good. So obviously, when your dad was racing, how young were you? Were you still? Were you born when he was still racing? How old were you? Did you get
Yeah,
to see him?
I was born in 1967,
Yep.
and I think that year, or 67, 68, 69, I think it was when BSA, you know, went all out to try and win the world championship. You know, with full titanium bikes, and you know I know they went skin to the end of it all during it, but they, you know, he came close. He lost the first year, I think, by a point because his chain came off with a couple of laps to go, or chain snapped, and he pushed it over the line and lost it by a point to Paul Fredericks. I think it was the first year, and then the second year it was Ben Aberg beat him, I think, when he was. I think Ben Aberg was on a Husqvarna. So I can remember. Obviously, I wasn't very old, but I can remember, you know, going to the races, and I can remember that. I can remember Ben Aberg coming to the house and various, you know, I can remember as clear as day, like Ben Aberg and sort of the other riders that come in. I remember Mr. Honda's son, who owns Mugen. I remember him coming to stay at Dad's. But, you know, it was the Japanese man with his wife came. And that's who it was at the time. So I can remember that, yeah. So he must have been mid-30s when he stopped. So
did he just so when he retired, is that when he started the family business then?
He had the shop and he was still riding.
Okay, yeah.
And he was still racing, and sort of someone was running it for him. Trevor Kemp, who went on to work for Honda and run the race team for Honda and everything. He worked for you know, in the shop running it. And then he obviously did quite a bit of development with the Honda engine, the 500 engine that went in an XR 500 at the time. Basically, they started with a 350 engine, and you know, sort of stroked it and got it going, and then Honda did the 500 in full magnesium, you know, full factory, and that was his job to, you know, promote it. But it's like motocross in the early days, you know, what, I don't know if everybody knows it, but the reason all the Japanese manufacturers used to go into motocross, it was the cheapest form of testing for the best, you know, safest result. You know, a motocross track on a road bike that, you know, was going off jumps and gearboxes, and, you know, for the road bike, it was never going to be put through that sort of. So, you know, it was a relatively, you know, cheap form of, you know, R&D. And I don't know what deal he had with them, but, you know, he made his obviously Merlin bike and what have you, and the early ones, but he used to rip the gearboxes out. Then he went to ride for CCM. Again, and I think Alan Clues was paying him, you know, a monthly wage to ride each week. So it was like good money. You couldn't turn it down, really. And then he stopped after that. So, you know, so he was still riding for a little bit while he had the, you know, the motorcycle shop. But we had cars as well then. So, you know, it was cars and bikes and.
So you were always surrounded with it. It was a family thing. Because I see Justin, your brother, is that right? That he raced as well. And
Yeah, Justin rode in schoolboys, but he used to crash a lot. Justin was fast, but he hurt himself so many times that I think that's why he had to stop. He weren't allowed to ride anymore.
Too many injuries at a young age.
Yeah, that's right.
Got a nice one over here.
Yeah, that's it. Farley, that was. Yeah, I can't remember what year. It's probably, I was going to say a few years ago, but I bet that was 10 years ago, wasn't it? 7 years ago? I can't remember.
Yeah, probably already.
I would imagine. Yeah, there you go. Look.
Just on the, it's like, that's on your 125 bike.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
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 I've got a load of the pictures there. Got you on another.
Yeah, that was definitely a Farley. So
Yeah, that's another Farley one. You gonna have a roll round at Fox Hill as well? You gonna do a lap or?
Well, I will do. Yeah, if they want me to do a lap, I'll do a lap.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good. There's all you boys together. So there's quite a few British championships between you guys as well, because obviously Elliot went and won 2 MX2, I believe.
Yeah, so I think we've got 7. And then I obviously won the British Schoolboy Championship as well. So,
Yep.
But yeah, we won. Elliot won the BSMA one. I don't know what happened that year when it was ACU. I think he must have hurt himself in it. But yeah, there's the painting there. Rob Kinsey did the original one that my dad had done. So
I think I got it there. There you go.
Yeah.
On that as well. It's very nice.
Yeah,
very
that
cool.
was. I know the one of Dad there was in America at the American Grand Prix. I don't know where the other shots were from, but yeah, it's a good picture. That.
Yeah, very nice.
That was when we opened our new Renault showroom in Cambridge. We built we got one of the largest Renault dealerships in the country. So that was a big event. That was.
Did you have? There's a picture of you there as well with Elliot. Did you get involved much with Elliot's career at any stages, or?
When he left Schoolboys and what have you, obviously he went
Yeah.
to RWJ Honda straight away, and you know the early days of that, you know we sponsored RWJ. Well, it was cheaper to sponsor RWJ than it was try and do it yourself, you know. So it was the start of it really, and then when we did the Suzuki, you know, Swift race team in 2007 and 8.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was actually Justin that sorted that deal out. Originally, we were going to have Mitsubishi as a sponsor for the team, and then Suzuki car division sort of stepped in and they said they'd do it. So that's how that came about, really.
Got Sharon's just said, "Look, yeah, that's my picture in the background there. That I'll try and get that up in full if I can. No, I've got it down here somewhere. There it is.
Yeah, I saw that the other week. Sharon must have taken hundreds of photos over the years and years ago, because all the photographs that sort of I've got or I've seen were what Jack Bernacle used to give us. Obviously, he was there every race, and Jack used to, every time he used to fly to a Grand Prix, Jack would be the, you know, who he could get a lift with. He, you know, in the rental car or the, you know, wherever he was going. So, you know, they were the only ones. Or Alex Hodgkinson, he used to give us a load of photos, but I reckon Sharon's got more than anyone else.
Yeah, this is a big shot as well. This one, isn't it? It's a proper.
Yeah, I've never seen that one before.
Beautiful, that is. That's a beautiful picture. I said to Sharon.
That's 85. That is.
Do you know where that is?
I haven't got a clue. Sharon might know.
She might know. I'm sure she will know. Well, that's a beautiful picture for sure. Just add date. I'm going to get through some of these guys' comments. They're all commenting down the side of here. Mick Nurse there just put, how well do you remember your TV interview with Annika Rice when you were up and coming GP rider? I did watch that. I think you was about 16, was your mark? I've got a picture of that.
I reckon I was 16. That was the week before, believe it or not, there was a Supercross in Chelsea football ground, where the real Chelsea football ground.
Was that?
And yeah, I think I was the youngest rider in that, and was it CBTV? And that was interviewed for before the Supercross coming up. Yeah, I can remember it, because I remember the guy saying to me, "Can you ride your bike into the studio?" I was like, "Well, it's going to smoke the place out." You know, you didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And then they decided to get against the riding the bike in, and edited some road bike or some noise of a bike.
Just to let everyone know, I did check this out earlier, and if you go on YouTube, you just put in Mark Banks, it comes up, and you can watch. It's about a 2-minute or so interview, and then you see a little bit of some camera on an American rider, I think, on the Supercross.
Chuck's son, it was.
Chuck's son. Ah, right, okay, so that's who it was. Yeah, and you see that as well. It's very cool. So yeah, you can check that out for sure. Yeah, it's very good. You just put in your name and it comes up. So I was checking all that earlier on. Very cool. So yeah, Dave's also just mentioned there to me, Namor in '88. Everyone talks about Carla and the beer stop, but who comes second?
Yeah, I came second that year. Carla is like, I don't know whether it's, you know, you stop for a beer and he still beat me. But
Here we go. Doing well on the pitches, Mark.
That was Namur. I remember that. I remember that as clear as a day because Carla didn't wear a Camel bib, and I did, and you used to get prize money in those days if you signed up. When you signed on, for the Camel Challenge money. So the deal was you advertised the cigarettes, and then if you wore the bib, you weren't meant to deface it, but obviously looking at Kurt's bib there, it looked really defaced.
Yeah, the old sweat hole things.
You know, and they used to cut the bit off, and I can remember. I remember I was second overall, but I got the first place because I was the first with the Camel bib, and it was in those days it was thousands that you won. Like it was a load of money. I remember winning it. I was like thinking, shit, this is a lot of money.
Yeah, this is all right.
Yeah, Thorpe had that every week.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I'm not sure he wore the bib though. I think I'm not sure he wore it all the while.
But it's definitely worth it by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Brilliant. Love that.
I think you used to get your money though at the end of the year, if I remember. So you couldn't spend it till you got the payout after same with Pirelli. Pirelli was the same. If you were signed on to Pirelli, you used to get good Pirelli money.
Yeah, I was talking to Adam Winslet earlier, and he mentioned that he's sure that you were on the podium in the Moor. So I was checking all that out as well. Yeah. And then Dave just brought it up, and I had a picture and I had a question ready for that. So thanks for that, Dave, coming on as well. Just checking what these guys, I don't want to miss what they're writing because there's already loads in there. Ben Rumbold does his motocross words on Facebook. He's been doing bits in the TMX lately as well with his articles. He's put Elliott rode the opening round of the British Championship this year at Cullum and got 14th in race 1. I think it was a wild card. Hope you enjoyed the Blacksville commentary, Mark, because Ben's been doing the commentary in the British Championship this year as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
Was you there for that one?
Yeah, yesterday at Blacksville.
Yeah, he's on about. Oh, he's just saying hope you enjoyed his commentary there yesterday because obviously.
Yeah, I went to Blacksville yesterday.
Yeah, was that good?
Yeah, it was a good race. There's a good crowd there. Yeah, it was a good. You know, it's pretty close to us. You know, that is. I mean, it still takes us probably 45 minutes an hour to get there, but you have to do a big long loop around the A12, or you cut across country. So, but yeah, that's a local track for us. It was local when I raced. So,
Mark Davis has put, is that Whitewater Barton? Is that Whiteway Barton, or is it called Whitewater Barton? I know a Whiteway Barton.
Whiteway Barton, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it's Whiteway Barton. So that's where the picture is by the looks of it. Right, Wayne Stamp. How do I get a signed race shirt? I always too scared to approach Mark in the pits.
I think people forget that it was 30 odd years ago when I raced, and I think they think I've got a stash of shirts that I never wore. I haven't even got. I've got some shirts that were that I had framed years ago, which I used to have in my swimming pool. We had a house with an indoor swimming pool, and I've still got the frames, but I think they're now been demoted to the garage. So I haven't even got a whole set of shirts. I've got missing shirts myself. So if he's got a shirt, I'm happy to sign it, but I haven't got any shirts.
I think someone already piped up on one of our posts, didn't I? I put a post up and someone said they had a shirt and they wanted it signed. Or was that Sharon? I think it might have been Sharon, was it?
Someone Someone I was talking to someone on Sunday at Blackpool,
Oh yeah.
and they'd just had a David Thorpe 1988 a Pico shirt that he gave him, and he just signed it. And I think he said the same thing. He said he hadn't got one of them, or it's
fans have already had all that stuff long time ago.
We never had as much. We never got as much gear though, is what they did. What they get nowadays. I remember when we ran the Suzuki, team, the amount of gear that Shift and Fox, it was unbelievable. It was just like it was amazing how much, you'd never wear anything out. Every week boxers come with you got to wear this week to the guys, but I was pretty lucky that in my early sort of right from the beginning, I wore JT gear, when it was the best gear, and I never ever raced with anything other than Oakley goggles my whole career. And I was always sponsored by them. And I used to go to America every year to do the Golden State, and used to go to the Oakley factory and used to have a tour of Oakley, and it was like a shopping trolley,
Oh, yeah,
Mike Bell was doing it then, bless him. And, it was, you'd get. When you're an Oakley proper Grand Prix sponsored rider, they used to give you a red briefcase, and it was like a red case, and every week they'd come and fill it to the brim.
Cool.
New goggles, and that was a prop. You had to do your own goggles, but
but that was very nice.
Yeah, but they used to fill your briefcase up. It was like a red briefcase.
Love the briefcase refill.
Yeah, that'd be rare. I don't know where my briefcase went.
Another souvenir for a fan. Look.
Exactly. If someone can find one of those, that'd be well.
That'd be something. Yeah. I wore a Oakley Monkey Mass in the early 90s and 100cc in the BSA as well. But everyone did then, didn't they?
Yeah.
They were always cool. Got some cool pictures of them. Right, I was going to mention that about Adam. I had that written down. We had discussed this earlier with Adam as well. He said he thinks he was racing in the sort of juniors at the time. And he said he remembers, he thinks it was the Champions of Champions in about 83. I think you guys might have been on maybe the 125 seniors potentially. But you and Alan Morrison was going toe to toe. And he said that everyone was racing all around the track following this battle. Adam said he was about 12 and he was in the juniors or something like that around then. Can you remember that as Champions?
Yeah, I can't remember where it was, but that was one hell of a race up and down hills. Because I remember we always used to race around here at like Chippenham and local races, and there weren't any hills. And my dad always used to say to me, like, you got to keep the gas on coming down the hill. Don't shut off. And I was like, but I can't stop if you. He said, well, no, you've got to go fast down the hills. Like, it's same as when you go up. But basically, I think it was down to the last race. It must have been over a 2-day race. I think going into the last race, whoever won the champion of champions. And I passed him on the last lap, I think it was, into the last corner coming down. I went down the inside of him, like there weren't really enough room really to
train.
I think he might have passed me in the race there, and I passed him where he beat me. Past me, so I passed him on the last lap, and I won. And obviously Alan and all his Irish crew were, it was, we upset the.
Yeah.
I think they stripped the bikes down, and
did they? Did they complain about the bikes? Right,
yeah.
Oh wow.
I think it was like, I think so. But that was hell of a race.
Yeah. So even Ian Humphries has brought up in it as well. So it's just shows how
he would have been there as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, Ian Humphries, look, he's put champions last year's score. Best ever race I've witnessed. Anyone who witnessed it will agree. Mr. Bankson versus Mr. Morrison. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, that was a good race. Remember that there was people running everywhere.
Yeah, he told me it was like everyone was running all around the track trying to follow it.
Yeah.
Epic. Looks like Gareth has got another memory here. He's put Greg, Hansen and Mark racing in a local patch grip trophy race. It's on the Motorvision tapes. Was by far the best racing I've ever seen, corner to corner, constant passing?
I can't remember. I probably rode at Patchwick a few times. I won the trophy, and my dad won it as well, I think, years ago. My dad's got a picture in his house of me holding a trophy with him, but obviously they never let you take it home.
Big old one, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. I think I'm not. I think it was. I think that was when it used to be on a weekend, whereas now I think it's an evening race.
Yeah, I think they're redoing it this week, Mark. I'm sure.
Yeah, there you go then. Yeah.
Sure, it's this Wednesday. I'm sure I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that was a good trophy to win. That was
very nice.
That.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'd like to have a look at that trophy again and have a look at all the names on it.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? I wonder where it is Wednesday. I'm not sure. I've seen maybe Little Silver.
Little Silver, I think it is now.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Good to check that trophy out, because imagine all the engravings on it is pretty awesome, for sure. Someone get a picture of it or something, that would be good, so we can all see it. That'd be good. Right, I've got Ian Chesterman here. Evening, Ian. He's put, evening, Mark. I believe you're a good friend with my good racing friends, Gary and Jason Turner from Abingdon. Does that ring a bell? There's going to be loads of these coming up, isn't there?
I don't know. It's bad, isn't it? Doesn't.
Yeah. Could be one of those if you see them.
Yeah. Don't ring a bell.
Oh, Dave's also put that Elliot is riding. Obviously the vets MXDN. Yeah. So he is riding. Just confirmed it.
Probably what you're doing then.
Oh, actually, maybe Dave can confirm if you're doing a lap. Is they can have some? I presume they're going to have some Legends laps going around as well. Be good to see. Definitely white way. Yeah, Mark's confirmed. I'm sure it was white way behind. Yeah. My mate Kevin's put top rider back when motocross was at its peak. Yes, definitely for sure. I know we keep saying they're the best days, but they were, Mark. I don't mind saying that.
Yeah, no. We had some. I mean, we had. Oh, blimey. We had some good times and some stories, and you know, it was amazing, really. You know, and I think it was a lot deeper. You know, the Grand Prix there'd be 100 odd people qualifying. You know, A and Group B, and you know, it's, you know, then there was people in there who, if they didn't qualify, they wouldn't even be able to get any diesel to go to the next one. You know, it's
that's rust and all that.
I mean, the difference really was, you know, there was no Facebook, there's no YouTube, there was no phones, there was no, you know, internet. So the only way you'd watch it was whether it was a massive, you know, BBC crew in the Grand Prix, and you know, that's how you'd watch it, or you'd have to wait for the paper, wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah,
even when I was racing, my mum we used to go to America for 3 months every year and do the Golden State Series. I used to go with Paul Bickus, and then Mick Aldous, who was my mechanic for quite a few years. He'd come with us, and he was obviously 13 years older than us, so you know, I felt it was safe. But I mean, we used to go practicing in the middle of these tracks that people would tell you to go to in America. And when you think about it now, I mean, we had no mobile phone. We used to park the truck in a lay-by, you know, so no one would nick you, because they used to come and get you with helicopters. You know, California was a nightmare in the 80s practicing. You used to get booked by the police all the while, because you know, the tracks, there were so many illegal tracks, and you know, all they were trying to do then was shut them down, which is they did manage to do that. But if we'd have crashed, I mean, you'd have died. There was no way of ringing an ambulance, or you know, we used to ride sometimes, you know, like a mile to 2 miles to get to the track in the valley.
Like off the grid,
it was unbelievable.
Crazy. Yeah, Ben Pickney has, look, he's just put, how were them trips over to USA doing the Golden State over the years?
They were. Oh, I can remember the worst thing was scrutineering was 5 o'clock in the morning, and when you were like 16, 17, 18 years old, 5 o'clock in the morning didn't exist in our life.
No, you just went to bed then, Mark.
Exactly, yeah. You got to bed at 2, 3.
Yeah.
You used to have to do scrutineering at 5 o'clock in the morning. Jesus. And and it was run by a guy called Stu Peters, and his son Mark Peters raced as well, and I think his sister ran it as well. And I mean, there'd be hundreds and hundreds of people doing it, and you know, the Americans would be doing the Supercross, and then the next, if there was a week off, they'd all do the Golden State, you know, as practice. But yeah, it's brilliant. But I used to ride, and you know, we were there, and you used to have to win the prize money because that was as good as it got, you know. And then if we really ran out of money, Paul Bickers, we have to tell him to ring his mum to pay the credit card off.
Use that.
Yeah, Paul got a Bickers Action credit card, but got about like $1,000 on it.
Yeah.
We'd have to ring her and say, ring your mum, get her to pay the card off, Paul. Or if I'd rode in the Golden State, like I had some seconds and thirds, and I used to do 250 and 500 class as well. So we'd ride in it to get enough money to. I mean, it's mad, really. I should have saved it, really, but we were 3 months in California, and we used to go ride in it like Gorman. It was like 3,000 acres of like trail riding.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Sleep there, and
yeah, it'd be awesome. But it was
so
great time.
We stayed there one night in a motorhome. We used to have a motorhome that Dave Bickers was filming with Larry Wilcox, who was one of the guys that rode, you know, was in Chips, you know, the American cops on the bikes.
Yeah.
And Dave had been filming with him, and he said, you know, he's coming out to do the Golden State, and he said, you can borrow my motorhome if you want. So Dave Bickers said, well, yeah, he said, I can borrow his motor. So we rang him up, and he weren't there. He was filming something. And he said, yeah, I've left the keys. It's at my house. We went and got the motorhome. It was like a tag axle, 40-foot long motorhome. And he let us borrow it for the whole time we were there.
Wow.
We used to base ourselves either with Dave Eakins, who owned Gold Belt, you know, and at the time, years ago. So that's where we used to base, or later on when I rode for Answer, we used to stay with Eddie Cole, who owned Answer Products at the time.
That's interesting. I did that interview with former two-time Speedway World Champion, American Bruce Pennell, who went in to do the Chips. Wow. So yeah.
No, obviously David knew them all, you know, with the film industry, all the. When we used to go everywhere when he first went, because he came with us, and Dad and him and what have you, when they were there years ago, they used to go riding with Steve McQueen, and like, you know, it was unbelievable. He knew everybody. We were lucky, really, sort of on the back of it. Dave Bickers even had a bike that had been there for 15, 20 years, left at a Chevrolet dealer, and he went there to the guy who owned it, and he was in a board meeting, this guy, and David walked on, tapped on the window, and the guy stopped it, who owned this massive Chevy dealer, and he said, I've come for my bike. And he said, yes, still in his garage at home. So he went and got it, and David rode it in the CZ World Championship, I think, one year. And he let me have a go on it when the race had finished, and I broke the gearbox, so he went mad.
Well, that went down well
then. But he said it was.
That went down well then.
Yeah, it was like he broke the gearbox. Told you I wasn't going to let you ride it.
The guys are still coming in with their memories. Like Ian Humphrey says it was in Wales. The Champions of Champions, that was with Morrison.
That race.
Yeah. And then obviously Colin Thomas. I know I was talking to him about, because I won a BSNA. He's obviously a former BSNA champion as well, Colin Thomas. He's put it, the race was too. It was the Champions Champion Mid Wales. So yeah, they're all remembering. Obviously, probably you were racing as well, weren't you, Colin? Probably racing there as well.
He'd been a few years younger than me, I reckon.
3 years younger, yeah.
I think he raced with me, but I think he probably raced with my brother.
Right, yeah, we just did. So yeah, what I was going to ask you is, because obviously you retired really early, didn't you? At a young age. What was the actual reason?
I obviously in 1984, when 83, 84, obviously Honda Racing was ran from Chiswick, and all the road race workshops and everything were run from there. you know, all the Rothmans Honda racing team and everything. And Honda then, you know, the guys, Gerald Davidson, who was the boss of it, and then it was Eric Sully and all those guys. They used to have massive budgets, and, you know, we always earned good money, you know, considering, you know, in those days, you know, it was a lot of money that you used to get paid, you know, and, you know, I always did it. It was professional, you know, 1990, when was it, 86, doing 250 Grand Prix. I broke my tibia and fibia practicing. I come off the track, went to take the goggles off, and I lost the front end. It was like rock hard, and the front end washed out, and I snapped the tibia and fibia. 86, so I had to get over that. And then I broke my femur. I got back in 88, you know, won the British Championship, went to, I was going to do Geneva Supercross, which I went to, and Paris. And I think I was getting £3,000 start money each race.
Oh.
So that was like £6,000.
Yeah.
And I thought I'll go and do Geneva, get $3,000. We'll go skiing for 5 days afterwards, go back to Paris, another $3,000, and then back home for Christmas.
Beautiful.
Well, I ended up in Geneva Hospital for 2 weeks with a broken femur.
That obviously put it back a bit.
Yeah, and it was, I think my contract with Honda the following year was, I had an injury clause in it where they paid me for so long, and then they would put me back on full money when I scored a point. So I came back early at Namur because I knew at Namur I was pretty good at Namur. Yeah. Everyone else used to scare the shit out of them through the trees.
Yeah,
and
you loved
I
it.
used to like it. Like, my dad reckons that was the worst. He reckons that used to nearly kill him with nerves.
Yeah.
Waiting for you because it was a long lap as well. You know, waiting you to jump out because you couldn't see anything other than the citadel or where you went past. So I scored a point there, so I was back on full money again then in 1989. And 1990, I swapped to. I was the first one really to do it with you know, my own sponsors. I had a TK Landscapes.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What that was?
Yeah, that was so we sort of did it ourselves really. I started off with Kawasaki's. I had Kurt's old bikes.
Was that what it was when you was like that?
Yeah, it was. I had Kurt's old bikes, and because Kurt thought Thorpe was having them, they absolutely them. They had crisps in the engine, and they'd taken everything out.
Told me on here. That was brilliant.
Yeah, they ruined them. They were absolutely like, they weren't Kurt's bike. All the fork shims, and I think when I saw Aaron and Kurt, they actually apologised because they thought Thorpe was going to have them, not me. We hardly used them, to tell you the truth. They were like swinging arms and stuff. They were production bikes really, but I mean, I actually loved riding that bike and did really, really well. But it used to blow the conrod out at like 35, 40 minutes every race. Thorpe had the same problem with his ones. Just used to come out the bottom of the crankcase every time. But
that wasn't a good experience.
It was a good bike though. But in the end, I had to carry on a Honda. So I got rid of them and bought some Hondas. But those 89, 90 Hondas, the forks and everything were crap in them. Whatever. Unless you've got proper forks, and the white power ones weren't much better. But so that was a bit of a mistake, really. You know, going to Kawasaki. But you know, I was always pretty good at getting the outside sponsors and, you know, stuff with the. Shame we didn't have Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, because that'd have been perfect then. You know, because I didn't. When we had, everything was branded. You know, the trucks, the clothing, the gear. I remember a Pico. I can't remember a Vesti that year. I think he did all our team clothing, and I think he must have paid me 6,000 or 7,000 pounds at the time, and I always wore AXO as well. Remo, who believes who owned AXO, always used to get paid sensible money. I don't know, 5 or 6 grand from him, which was a lot of money then.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't have thought there was anybody getting paid. There's probably the top lot that get big dough, but nowadays it's, you know, that was good money.
Yeah.
You know, for wearing gear. Yoko was all right. He was the guy who owned Yoko. He was sound. I remember you always used to sign for him because I think he paid me £10,000 one year. I got offered more money from someone else, but they wanted to pay you monthly.
Yeah.
And he always used to dare the account because he'd pay you on January the 1st, the lot up front. And you were like, oh, 10 grand up front, as opposed to like 13, you know, grand a month, whatever it was, monthly, because it was Emro Bear or anyone who'd trying to offer you, you'd never get paid unless you rode for him the following year. You know, that's why Kurt always used M. Robert, I think, because if he didn't sign the next year, he wouldn't get paid.
Oh, so yeah, you always have to be back there to make sure you're going to get.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Did you have like was mechanics like paid and all that? Was that all okay? And
it was exactly the same years ago. I mean, in the Honda days, the mechanic was on the proper Honda UK payroll, and we used to have to send an invoice in, you know, each month to get paid, you know, from Honda UK. So as long as you had a contract and it was, you know, a start date, that's how you used to get paid. Honda UK used to pay you. But the mechanic was on the proper employer's roll.
Absolutely.
They were better off, really.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same today. The guys ride for nothing, but all the people who are mechanic can get paid. You know, it's.
Was this about the end, Mark? I remember you like that. Was that the KTM?
Yeah, I rode the last year. I rode 91. I rode a KTM.
Yes.
And I rode all the bikes, and I remember going to Austria and riding that, and that was a standard bike, but had factory engine in it. I remember going to KTM on their test track up in the woods, and that engine was unbelievable. That was brilliant. That engine was. It was a good bike. That was.
So that was pretty much your full last year, then, was it? You said you did a couple of little.
I did some British Championship races in 1992, I think, just to stay expert, and sort of I was hanging on to it, but I was, because I'd all earned a living with it, and obviously, you know, I'd got married and Olivia was born, and you know, it's like, you know, you got to do a proper job, really, and you know, everybody never seemed to be able to go on. You know, if you'd have said in 1991 you're going to carry on racing until you're 30 odd, you know, you were done by the time you were like mid-20s. You know, because everyone was, you know, in America, like Ron Lachine and Bale, and you know, I remember the first ever Grand Prix we went to in 1984 in Italy. I finished 9th overall. I was 16, but I think I was the second youngest. But on that day, Strybos was 16, Van der Berg was 16, and they were all in front. I think Strybos the next week won in France. I was 6th in France the following week in the second ever Grand Prix. But Corrado Maddy had come past you on a Cagiva going up a hill in France or whatever, like you're going backwards, and I had like Mugen Hondas and stuff, and he's definitely cheap. Yeah. Like, you know, they'll probably say they weren't, but it was like in Italy. It was. I remember in '86 I was doing a 250 Grand Prix then, and I think I went fastest in time practice because I was doing a big double jump into this downhill. And every lap I was behind Michel Fanton, they pulled the chestnut fencing back, the whole lot, and he went up the grass. And when I come around the corner, they walked forward with the chestnut fencing, and I had to go up the bumps. It's like every lap.
I've heard some good stories about stuff like that.
Oh,
that's crazy. Unbelievable stuff I had back then.
Watley was, we flew into we were going to Czechoslovakia to a Grand Prix in 1986.
Yeah.
And we must have landed, I think, Austria, or I don't know where we landed. We got a rental car. My dad was driving with Mike Carter from Kajiva. And there was me and Jeremy Watley in the back of the car. I think David Watson might have been with us. And this drunkard bloke was in the middle of the road in Czechoslovakia, and we run him over. And he went over the roof of the car, and we couldn't find him. And Jeremy Watley went, I hit one a lot harder than that in Zimbabwe. He said he broke his leg. He said, he'd be all right, let's go. And my dad was going, no. Anyway, we found him in the ditch. Anyway, the police came. They took him off in an ambulance, and they took us to prison. They locked us up in prison.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was in there, like, I was 17, I think. And like, I was thinking, this is the end. Like, we're never going to be taken out of this Czechoslovakian prison. And the next minute, a school teacher came into the prison. We all had a cell each. And and he says, oh, we're going to let you go. He said, the guy you've hit, he said, he does it all the while. He's been run over many times. And like, my dad was going, is he dead? Is he dead? He's going, no, he's okay. He's okay. We were like, well, that'll be okay. And this school teacher, my dad was saying, can I get you anything? You know, can I send you something? He said, well, I'd like a Sinclair computer. So all the way there. Anyway, that was a Friday.
Yeah.
Whatever time, it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Got to the Czechoslovakian Grand Prix, had qualify and everything. And Watley won both races, like just off the trot, like gone. And I did all right in one race, I think, and then I broke my finger in the second race. And then we had to come home. And I can remember when we got back, Watley goes, "You're not really going to get that bloke a Sinclair computer, are you?" And my dad was going, "Yeah, because he got us out, he got us out of prison and what have you." And Jeremy was going, "Yeah, but you're never going to see him again, you know." And I can't remember if my dad did send him a Sinclair. He probably did know him.
Yeah, it's about to say one.
That was unbelievable. What I remember, it was so iron curtain that when they took the pictures, it was with the old Camry, you know, when they put it over the top of
the old sheet over.
The old sheet over, and they tried to put a police car to take us away. And Jeremy kept getting out and going back round again because they were trying to get 4 people in the back seat of a like a Lada or something like that. It was bonkers, but I didn't phase him at all.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, that was God. If that happened now, blimey.
Oh yeah, Jesus! It would have been on. What was he saying about earlier? On social media, Mark. You'd have been
on CNN, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Right, I got Ben Rumbles put. Rob Andrews mentioned the American trip with you in his book. Apparently, Mark, you were there when David Bailey got hurt and then visited him in hospital. What do you remember about that?
I can remember the. I can't remember what track it was at. It's probably in Rob would remember because he was, you know, he'd remembered all of that stuff. It wasn't a very big crash, to tell the truth. There was like a straight with a couple of like sort of bumps, and he was wheeling it, and he tried to double it, and he just got it wrong, spat him over the handlebars, and you know, it was a shock really to everybody. You know, that he'd been paralysed, and you know, it was like, how's it happened to someone like that? You know, but I don't think I did very well that day. It's probably knowing me. I was like, oh, I don't want to ride no more. You know, it was like I probably shit me up enough.
Yeah.
I'd also the following year I was at the Supercross when Danny Magoo Chandler got paralysed as well. So I was there riding at that Supercross that day, and I'd gone quickest I'd qualified first in that Supercross, but. No, we went to see him in hospital, and it was, you know, you couldn't really, believe it happened, really. But you know, so I'm sure I can remember him saying he did have some sort of on one of his toes or something, but I don't know. Rob wanted to go and see him, and sort of we went, but yeah, it probably did more damage, you know, worrying about it, but because it was him, you know. And obviously, then it happened again with Danny at Paris Supercross, and you know that was that weren't good that night either. Then you had to get back out and race in front of everybody because you were being paid start money.
Yeah.
And then it was Malherbe, I think, the year after, wasn't it? Or the same year.
Malherbe, yeah.
I remember going to the '88 Grand Prix when Andre Malherbe came there, and he was with Lequet, and we were all on the start line, and all we could see at the front corner was Andre in the back of a quad, like paralysed from the neck down, and you were thinking, shit, like, you know, poor old boy.
Yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, I can remember it. I can remember it as clear as, you know, clear as day. It was horrible days, but it was like a damn bowl. But our practice was probably at 6 o'clock in the morning as well. It was a Golden State race. It was like, I can't remember.
Wow. How fancy that?
Yeah, there was an early start. They used to let the racers off the next race, and there was like they were half a lap. There were still people on the track, like, you know, like, yeah, like the guy would go over the finish line, and next minute the 15-second board would be up, you know, Jesus. And you'd come round, and you know you'd nearly catch up with people who were in the race before. Just race after race. They weren't really long races, though. I can't remember. Used to think that you only probably used to do 10 laps.
They loved getting it in quickly. Then they like to race through the
old. Oh, there was millions of groups. There was like over 30s, over 40s, vets plus, amateur vets, pro plus. Like it was, you know.
I had plenty to get through.
Yeah.
I might try that with my events. Imagine it. Oh, good. I got Bobby James here. Oh, I remember speaking to him. Hi, Mark. Great listening to you talk about the years gone by. Lee will laugh at this, as we both discussed and tried looking for this elusive lad, Matthew Harvey from Ipswich. If so, please shed any light on him. We both tried looking him up late last year to no avail. Sounds like the same area and same sort of years that you were competing, maybe. I think he was in the schoolboy. I remember him on a Yamaha. I don't know if you remember him, Mark.
He'd be quite a bit younger than me, and he's still about. I haven't seen him very much, but his uncle used to be quite involved in enduros. Will.
Okay.
But yeah, I see him on. I think he's on my Facebook, but I don't think he rides anymore.
Oh, nice. Check
but yeah, he's still about. Still about.
Yeah. I've been talking to all these obviously guys from the BSMA days as well, and Holmeses and all that era as well. So I knew that Matthew Harvey. I'd seen him on the old Matchins tapes and a few others.
Yeah. He rode Yamaha predominantly, I think.
Yeah, I remember him there. Yeah, on the Yamaha. Yeah. All right, cool. There you go. So we got a bit of light on that. We might be able to chase that one up now. Mick here has put, what did you enjoy racing with the most? Who made you race even harder in the UK and in your GPs? And what was your best ever race to your memory?
I think, Namur is, when we were racing, Namur was the Monaco of F1, it was just, just the people, the man, just riding there was, you'd never have a race there now. It'd be bonk, no one would ride. But that was good. I used to like the American Grand Prix. I think '88 Hollister Grand Prix. I think I was fourth overall there. I think I led one of the races. I think, or second in one of them for quite a long while. But it was so hot. It was 104 degrees in the shade, or 103 degrees in the shade. It was so hot. And like everyone was like, tongue was hanging. It was unbelievable hot. It was like right in the middle of the summer when that race was, mid-August, and we were just, it was just unbelievable. But they were good races. Had some good races with Thorpe. When I look back on it now, an 85 500 Honda and his factory HRC bike, that bike in the picture on the background, that 85 Honda, they were quick, but they handled so bad. And and literally that bike was standard, apart from I think it had a white power shock, and we used to have Simon's fork internals in them, which were, but the engine was standard. There was just carburation and stuff on it, but you didn't really tune it because you couldn't hang on to it then. The A85 one was like really powerful, but we used to use that those cylinders and stuff for, I don't know, 3-4 years, because the water pipe on the back was different, so I used to have to reroute it. But used them for a lot of years.
I've got a little bit of footage for that, to see you and 4P battling out in Nantwich, I think it was, and then obviously that big crash. Yeah. Your dad quoted, didn't he, saying, I remember your dad quoted as well. I saw some press, I read up about that, saying, like, when I watched it myself, and I was like, Jesus, how no one got hurt with the bike, with the follow through.
Yeah, it went over the top, didn't hit anybody. It was unbelievable. It was surprising it didn't kill someone. The pin in the carburetor, the pin come out the slide, out of the side of the carburetor. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's like full chat. I done my ligaments in my knee on that.
Yeah, I see you hop off. I was going to ask you exactly what you did.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, after that, I had a bad knee. I used to wear a knee brace on that left leg. I think it was the left leg. I can't remember. They're all bad now.
Yeah. It was like full open, wasn't it? Up here, you literally walked like that.
Flat out.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we were going quick that day.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, that was a proper, yeah, it was a good race.
It was a really good race. I'll show that bit of that coverage in a bit. Adam Winslet just said, what happened to your 83 Mugen 125? Is that
right? Paul Bickers had it the following year. I don't know if he rode it all year. Well, he had it 83, or my mate Tim, who was always through my racing crew, used to come with me. He might have had it, but I don't know where it is. A good bike that was. That was when you could buy everything from Mugen: the forks, the engine, the gears, the head, the exhausts, the tank. All the rear shock absorber. It was. The good thing about when we had all that Mugen stuff is you used to pay for it top dollar, and it used to work. Whereas nowadays, I don't know what Pro Circuit's like now, but the amount of times that we bought stuff from Pro Circuit, and everybody goes, Pro Circuit, but they never seem to ever sell you anything that was any good.
No.
I think you used to get back what didn't work.
All right.
I don't know if you ever been to Pro Circuit and looked in the back, all the cylinder heads that used to be in a box out the back, they tuned 125s. But no, it was always like, oh well, you've got to get the good stuff.
Yeah.
I remember going to Pro Circuit when he first started years ago. It was the day I was with Mitch Payton in his office when the shuttle blew up in America.
Yeah.
I don't know what year that was.
Yeah, what year was that? I don't know on here.
Must have been 86, was it, when the shuttle blew up? And I was in his office because I was trying to get some exhaust pipes off him because we were racing out there.
Yeah.
We'd have been buying him on Paul Bickers' credit card.
Yeah. Top it up again.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. It was like suddenly it was on the news. Was it 86?
Someone's gonna know. Someone will know.
Someone will Google it.
Someone come up with that for us.
Might have been 80, might have been 85. I don't know, 85, 86. I know I'd got 250 Honda, I think.
Someone will come out with that. Someone will let us know. Oh, got a new comment. Alex Ketteringham, 85 he's put.
There you go then. That's when it was.
85, yeah. Thanks for that, Alex. Good man. All the guys all know the stats and all the history, all the fans. Love it, don't they? love it. I've got Dave Ratton here. Put one thing I did like about the Banks family is they always have time for everyone. John, Mark, Justin, Elliot, even Mal. Stop and talk to everyone. Nice comment.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Dave.
I'll test him on that, Dave, at Fox Hill, because I should be trying to stop Mark for a new age selfie and all that as well. And a signature on something. I'm sure I can find some stuff. Be good to see him in person as well. Thanks for that, Dave. Also, what we got here? I've just got in from work and I've missed loads of the interview. You'll be able to catch all this up later on because it will be recorded to YouTube. But have you asked him about the Little Chef Lolly record yet?
I don't know, blimey. All I remember about Little Chefs is we used to go to the Little Chefs and you used to go in there and you used to have to eat your food. You'd only have half because you'd have to get out of the Little Chef because otherwise you'd be left with the bill. So if you ordered like your food, you had a few chips and half a burger, and then you just ran because otherwise you'd be left with the bill.
That's brilliant.
And take and on top of that, yeah, you take all the lollies with you, and the orange lollies.
Maybe that's what this is about.
Yeah, probably took the whole box, probably.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure, there's no name on that, but they put when you think of Honda in the UK, it was always Thorpe or the Banks. So got some lovely, nice pictures of. So that 125 was there anything special about that 125 that you won the British Championship on? I've got a few pictures of it.
No, it was the first. That was the first year when we actually didn't use a Mugen cylinder or anything for it.
Yeah.
It obviously had the cylinder was, it had some work done on it. It had a selecting pipe, had Mugen forks. That's it there, yeah. So that would have been a selecting exhaust pipe, which obviously that was in the days of Franz Selecting, which had Mugen forks, I think, but they would have been forks that were the same in the 250 and the 125. I should have won the 250 British Championship that year as well because it was at Matchams on the last race.
Yeah.
And the stone went through the clutch cover and I lost all the oil. So I DNF'd the race and Andy Nichols.
Yeah, I read that. So I was runner up that year.
I should have won both of those really that year.
That's a gutting one, that one. Is that when you was on the 250? Is that the 250?
That's at Farley. That is 86. That was when we did that. That was a full Mugen cylinder in 86. That was, but it was all painted black and Mugen ground off it because on the UK wanted everyone to think you're on standard bike, which was stupid, really.
Yeah.
I think it blew up in the first race, and then I think I was third or fourth in the second race at Farley there.
That's that bit you come out of the trees, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Van Dorn behind, I think. But yeah, they had to be fair, I was all right that year because David Watson was my teammate, and we went and tested the white power stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we had white power forks and shock, and we were probably 2 or 3 days testing with Henk, and I was like, it's crap, and he was like, what do you mean? I said, don't like it. And Jorgen Nielsen was there, and he's he's got it, and I said, well, it don't turn, I can't turn. Anyway, David Watson thought it was brilliant, and all the Mugen, which were sort of factory. They were the same as factory Honda forks, really, but they didn't have the magnesium, sliders and what have you.
Yeah.
They were exactly, they were the first of the cartridge forks and what have you. And it was a special shower shock. Well, they'd ordered everything for me and Watson to do the 86, because Honda UK sort of did the 86 World Championship that year, and he used white power, so I had all his stuff as well. So I had a practice bike which had which had factory forks and all the Mugen forks and stuff, and so that was lucky.
Did you get on well with Dave Watson? I've spoken to him. Spoken to him on WhatsApp a couple of times and trying to get it. He's going to come on an interview as well. Did you get on well with Dave?
Yeah. I had a year with the Grand Prix, but I broke my leg. I'd finished second in France.
Yeah.
And that was the year I'd finished second in France on the weekend in the Grand Prix overall, and then I broke my leg Tuesday afternoon. So that was a sort of and we'd got the bike. The bike was good. Was riding good. We was having the British Championship was hard because Herring was over by then as well. So we'd had Hawkston, and he was a sort of new kid on the block. I wasn't very old, and he was come over and sort of made his work for. I think the first race he come over was Hawkston, but I still managed to beat him in the British Championship round. I got a silver plate somewhere knocking about. That's what you got for him.
Is that when he came over when he was on first on the Yam, wasn't it? I think was it on the Yam?
Kawasaki, I think he was riding.
Oh, that early. Oh yeah, right. Okay,
86 that was. He came over and he proper made us go for it at Hawkston.
Yeah.
That would have been an easier win without him there.
Yes. I was watching some coverage and I remember he was on the 250 Yam a bit later then. I think.
Yeah. I think he went Yam a year after, didn't he?
Yeah. So that's the coverage I was watching. Oh, there's another name as well from the Honda era, Mr. Chris McMillan. That is just put. Good to see you looking well, Mark. Great stories, easy listening.
Yeah, that was.
Remember the schoolboys as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, I presume it is the same Chris.
I think I've got pictures. I think that was when you was all on all you guys, all the schoolboys, and the that's you at the back there, isn't it?
That was 1988. Yeah, that was 1988 when we crossed. Look how many people they used to sponsor.
I know. I think probably Stephen Holmes, and I think Chris McMillan's probably in there as well, and all the guys, all the schoolboy lads as well as those at the back. Look. Yeah. Is that Gerard Smith on the end? That looks like
Jared Smith, Willie Simpson, Rob Mead, Ben Watson's dad. Me. I don't know the next one. He's Andy with the helmet on.
Yeah.
Brian Wheeler's brother Tim.
Tim Wheeler.
David Watson. Julian Rawson's got the helmet on. He was in the sort of the main. There was 3 riders, main.
Yeah, the main 3 adult riders.
No, 4 of us there were in that year.
I gather that's all the lads that were in the schoolboys are being supported. Probably Chris is in there. Probably Holmes is and all them.
I think the whole team got sponsored by Answer that year because I'd been riding Answer the year before, and then the whole Honda Britain team got Answer, but I think I got paid to wear it. Do you know what I mean?
How did that come about, Mark, with that deal with the Answer then? How did that come about?
We were going to the Golden State, and Fowler's was the UK importer, and I was going to race in the Golden State in '87. It would have been end of '87. Was it 80? Yeah, '87 was the first year when we went with Rob Andrews.
Okay, yeah.
And basically, the deal was that Eddie Cole would pay for all our hotels and supply us truck and fuel and everything to do the Golden State Series, and obviously we'd got paid money from Answer as well, to ride. But when we got there, he, instead of like renting us a motorhome, we used the Answer truck, like the Luton type. They all had those trucks in those days, didn't they? Like that. So we had that, and then he gave us his credit card. That was the first experience of someone giving us a credit card and said, "Well, just use my credit card." We said, "Yeah, but you've got to sign it." And he was, "Well, just sign it then." So we used Eddie's credit card for the fuel and all the hotels.
Wow.
So we didn't have a camper, which it weren't quite so fun then. And then we obviously stayed at Eddie's as well. He got a lovely house up near where the factory was. So we used to stay there, and he used to lend us his BMW 7 Series or 6 Series sports car, and it was unbelievable, mega guy.
Brilliant.
But they used to make all the gear and everything at the factory there, like all the exhaust pipes, We used to get roped in sometimes where Willie just go down to like near San Diego to pick us some grips up where the handlebar grips were made, and it took us all day to go there and back. That was the job we had to do during the week. We used to talk the girls in the we used to print the shirts into like doing us like special shirts, and
did you?
Can you do some AirTech shirts with like and then we get them to print them on the printers and change them.
Beautiful. So you had some great times over there, racing over there.
Yeah. It was
proper experience. That was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Got David Campbell. Hey, David, good to see you on. He's put, hi, Mark. One of the most scariest things for me was 1990 British Championship, you and Yard Smith and me in the middle of you two on the start line when the 5-second board went up. The two of you started screaming to put me right off at the start.
Yeah. I remember that all started with that was when I'd been in America, because we'd obviously done 3 months worth of racing. So when we came back, it was like I think it was, well, they were all of them, like on the start line. There was like Jeff Ward, Jeff Stanton, Rick Johnson, Mickey Diamond, and they all used to like psych themselves up. And when you're 17, 18, it was like, oh well, that's what you got to do, and psych yourself up. So when I came back, I thought, right, that's what I'm going to do. Merv was the opposite. He'd have deep heat and have his goggles on, misted up before the race start, and he'd just be focused. When you were next to him, that's all you could smell was deep heat over a bike.
Jeez. Oh,
he used to spray his bike when it was muddy. But I think he might have even done it in Drake. He used to spray it with like I'm sure it was what he used to put on a fan belt to stop the fan belts slipping. He used to biking. It was like glue. We used to like think, what's he sprayed on it? I don't know whether he still does it. Perhaps he try it now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I had a good laugh with Merv as well in his interview. That was great. I was gonna mention Stewie Hare, yeah. He's put you have that older rider and a schoolboy who you looked up to and wanted to be like. Mark was that rider, and we were grateful for the help your dad gave me and Lowell in the schoolboy years.
Yeah, they obviously they were obviously riding schoolboys all the time. We were really, they were there every week. So when we were riding local, so we grew up with those every weekend, and but yeah, they were about every weekend, and obviously Shane got out to Lawrence. It's
Yeah.
I remember it. I remember when it happened. It's terrible.
Yeah, it was. Did have a nice chat with Lowell in his interview. That was really cool as well. Yeah, it was such a shame. He's such a nice guy as well. But he's doing well. Dave, love the helmets. Did you do the spraying yourself? They look great.
Yeah, when I broke my leg in 1986, obviously, I never had it pinned. I had it put in plaster, and it hurt so bad. The pain was just unbelievable. And we lived right near the hospital when I lived at home, and the doctor basically, Gordon Hatfield at the time, because normally everyone would go to him. It was Vesti's wife's dad. He'd operate on everybody, but I broke it locally, and they didn't. It was broke, but not smashed up bad. So I obviously couldn't do anything. So I decided that I'd start spraying helmets, And
I see.
what I used to get them all ready and mask them all up and do all the designs and all the bits pieces and no, I got someone to paint them. The ones I tried to paint myself, it never came out as good as taking them to the. It must have been the body shop of someone where we had the cars.
Okay.
But I did everything else, like all the rubbing down, the designs, the all the bits. And then that's later on in that, Adrian Rope, who had AR Dynamics, who painted all my helmets then. So he did them all then after that. So I used the helmets. But in those days, it was Troy Lee Designs. I can remember when we first used to do the Golden State Series. Troy Lee used to come around the pits with a rucksack, and like you'd get him to paint your helmets, or I always used to have to use the helmet that we were sponsored by.
Yeah.
But Paul always used to manage to get a Shoei helmet from Shoei in America for free, and then you get Troy Lee to paint it. It was like something like $70 or something like that, and 2-3 weekends later, he'd come to the race, Troy Lee would, and he'd bring you painted helmet. But yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah, it was like a just a rucksack on his back, and going round trying to get work. And then obviously later on, he was painting all the NASCAR drivers and
That's crazy.
so getting a painted helmet when Adrian started doing them,
Yeah.
and then later on, obviously just up the village from where I live now, is what's the guy who paints all the Formula One helmets? JLF, Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
He painted Lewis Hamilton's helmets for years and years and years. But yeah, so we had sort of a bit of a fetish. It was having painted helmets.
Yeah.
I remember I had answer helmets, and we used to get them painted, and the answer guys used to go mad because they'd say, "Why have you painted your helmet? We want to sell the ones with orange, blue, and
the colours." Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh well, it won't hurt. But I'll wear the other one."
Brilliant. Yeah.
The worst. It all started. We used. I think 86. We were sponsored by Laser, and Trevor Kemp had done the deal with Laser. We went to the Laser helmet factory, and David Watson and I sat in the boardroom with the guy who owned Laser, and he bought these helmets out, and he took them out of the boxes, and we were like, "You've just given us a helmet, and it's got a clear visor, like a bolt-on road bike helmet."
Was it?
And we were like, "I'm not wearing that helmet." And then there was an open face helmet that honestly was like a scooter, like a moped helmet. And we were like, honestly, it was like I think the year before that we'd had like JT helmets and things like that. And I went to Chippenham practicing once, and I lost the front end in the corner, and the helmet come off. It actually come off my head, and I never wore it ever again. I bought some Arrows and it was horrendous. They were so bad, it was unbelievable. But Jackie Martin's carried on wearing it. I remember he used to look at him on the start line and think,
yes,
you're wearing a moped helmet."
Yeah, they were weird as well.
It was a horrible thing.
They were weird. Looked like something out of Star Wars.
I think I sold everyone I had to buy the Arrows.
Buy the Arrows.
Yeah.
See, Danny's here. Look, hi, Danny. He just put, "I remember all the Honda cars he had. Some cool cars back in the day."
Yeah, we had some. We had a lot of cars. I remember once I had a full Mugen Honda CRX. Until Mick Alderson, mechanic, he dropped me off one night, and he didn't have a car to get home in. And he wrote it off on the way home. Wrote it off. He brought it back. It was like he went on its roof, and he brought it back, and he actually valeted it to make it look better. Yeah, it's wrecked. Yeah, it's all fiberglass body kits and wheel arches, and I think he picked it up in a bin bag.
So I'm gathering you were really young. You must have started really young when you got on a bike, Mark. I'm gathering you must have been. I've got a little picture of you. I hope this is you.
Yeah, that was. I think my dad bought some bikes back when he was doing the Trans Am America series.
Yeah, that's right.
before that, it was like a little MR50.
Yeah.
And then it was a Yamaha IT60. It was like a mini enduro, which sort of was the first Yamaha dirt bike. And then obviously XR75s, which where we lived in Bury, we had there was a paddock at the back where my mum had horses, because my mum used to have a riding school in town. So, but we had a track in the back garden. We used to go round and round and round and round all day. And even in the school holidays, the neighbour used to cry her eyes out. And she used to put the green watering can out when she went out. So if the watering can was out, that was the sign to ride. We used to go all day. We used to go all ride. And Jonathan Wright at the time worked for my dad when he'd finished racing, or when he was still racing. And Jonathan's job was basically to get Dad's practice bikes ready, and go practicing with him. So, and then Dad would go ride and then go back to work. And I was probably at that time, Jonathan would have been 18, and I'm about 9 years younger than him, so I'd have been about 9 or 10, probably not much after that picture.
Yeah.
I was probably 9 there, and we used to go to West Stowe, where they used to have the British Championships years ago, and my dad used to go home, and we used to load up, and Jonathan and we used to get all the bikes out again and go and ride till we ran out of petrol.
Literally run dry.
My mum would go out and tell us we couldn't ride anymore. As soon as she got down the road, we'd get the bikes out again. It's like unbelievable.
Nightmare getting you all in every
amount
time.
of laps I must have done around that track. And then obviously when Dad had come back from races, and if there was like a Grand Prix, or all the foreign riders, Aberg, Da Costa, all them lot that were in England, they'd come back and they'd ride. We used to have about 4 of those XR75s. Well, at the time, I used to think they were my XR75s. Well, all they were was those guys years ago had pit bikes, didn't they? And they like my dad and all that used to race around this track in the paddock. It was like no different to today with mini bikes.
Yeah. So all those guys would have a go on them as well.
Yeah, they'd race them around all day long.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Hopefully get these pictures right as well.
That's 1983 on that 83 125 Honda. That was. Yeah. That was that's it there.
That picture there.
So yeah, that was a good bike. That was it. There was a lot of stuff on there. I had a proper HRC 1983, so that's a proper HRC mud guards and number plates, and I don't know where we used to get them from. We must have got them from the mechanics from HRC or something. But,
did you do well mark straight away from very young in the schoolboy straight away? Did you?
I didn't race till I was 9. And the first race I went to, Kevin Plummer, who my dad used to sponsor in the Eastern Centre, he used to, I don't know who that is, because they had a picture of me. I don't know who that is.
I see someone had tagged you in it. I was like, is that him?
Sure. No, I think that might be
always one that gets through.
Broad. But yeah, I think I had my first race at 9. And my dad was still racing at the time, so he didn't really come to many races like my mum went, and he wouldn't let me have a Suzuki 80. I had a XR75. Of course, I went to the first race, got smoked by Paul Bickus and all the boys on 2 strokes and everything, and I went back, and probably another race on an XR75. And so I got the XR75 and I duct taped the throttle on it flat out and left it in the paddock. And it eventually blew up. And before the week, and I did get an RM80 from Andy Lee in Cambridge. Dad had come back from a Grand Prix. He'd crashed in Grand Prix somewhere, and he broke all his fingers, and So he was out of action for a few weeks, and he'd ended up on the roof of an ambulance as well. He'd had a proper big crash and broke his fingers and cut all his, he had loads of stitches. And so he was out of action for a few weeks. So he went and bought me an RM80. And I remember up where he lives now, I got on it, got on the grass, gassed it and looped it straight away, broke the mudguard straight off it, 2-stroke power. And I think it was the Bellray National the following week, which, you know, I was like, you know, saying I can't ride a XR75. I think it was an 80 with a, you know, it was so slow. And I went to the Bellray National at Waits Cone and I won first race on it. And I had the bike the whole while with the pop riveted mudguard.
Wow.
Never did get a new mudguard. I think there's a picture on my Facebook somewhere. Someone shared it. But yeah, so I had a Suzuki then, and then in the schoolboys, I did do all the nationals and stuff. But he sleeved. Then Dad went sleeved down 125 to a Honda in 1980, and that was a good bike. But we only ever had one of them that was any good. Every time we did the other ones, they were slow as anything, but we had one good one. And then when I was 16, like as soon as in September, I just went adult. Had to get me points. In '83, you know, to go expert like you did. So, but I won the British Championship in '83. I can't really remember much. I think I finished second the year before that. I don't know who beat me. Probably Alan Morrison, probably.
So you've pretty much, you come through together, didn't you? I was looking through some program bits and stuff like that. And
yeah. It was, we didn't do we used to do local nationals and stuff like that, but I can't remember. People say I watched a video on Ling the other week and I won the last race. I couldn't even remember even winning it. So you know, you sort of see a video, and that's what I'm saying. You know, I've probably seen more pictures and stuff, you know, off Facebook and Instagram and things like that.
Yeah, brings the memories out. I remember that was the good one.
Yeah,
there.
That was the Coupe de l'Avenir under 21. You know, motocross divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won that year. I won both the races, I think. In fact, the guy keeps sending me an email every week. Apparently, they're having a reunion this year at the.
Oh, there.
Yeah, apparently so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we won that. That's 1982. Or 81. That is. I think that is or 82. Might be 82 because I had a full Mugen bike in 1981 and I rode it for 2 years, and that's got an 82. Production tank on it because you used to have a fiberglass tank on the Mugen bike, and the radiators used to snap off, you know, the air scoops every week. So that's what that bike is. Nice. Old American camper in the background. Look,
I see that.
Yeah, we had a few of those.
There's this picture I got.
That's 84 at Hawkstone. That is at the support race.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me ride because I weren't old enough. Wouldn't let me ride in the Grand Prix.
Did you have to be 16 at least?
You had to be 18 to
18.
125s. It's 16.
Yeah.
You have to be 18, and then after that race, there was all hell let loose with the ACU because they let Ron Lachine ride in the Grand Prix in America when he was 17 and he won. And everyone was going bonkers because, like, you know, why was he allowed to ride? And no one else was allowed to ride in a Grand Prix. So I don't think anyone bothered to check the rules really. But yeah, I don't know what happened after that. They changed it, I think.
So when you was a youth rider, when did you I know it's obviously trying to remember it, but was there sort of a time where you thought, right, I can be a professional rider? Or was just that always the plan? Because obviously your dad and the history.
That was always the plan, really.
Yeah.
You know, it was. I want to be a professional. That's what, just focused on it really. That's all I wanted to do.
Mm.
That's 86. That's Farley Grand Prix.
Used to love the Oakley face mask.
Never wore any other goggles. Whole
No.
career.
I think I've got a cool picture of this as well. With there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oakley Young Lions, the cream of young British motocross. Choose Oakley. There you go.
Yeah.
Julian Wilson, Gareth Smith, Merv, Rob Herring, Dob, you, Bennett, and Edwards. Very cool that was when I spotted that. So, who were the riders when you were young? Obviously, you had your dad as well, but who were the riders when you were young and racing in the schoolboys that you looked up to? Did you have any idols, heroes?
Obviously, when Dad was riding and stuff, right to the, when we used to go and watch every week, it would have been, even when he was finishing at the end, it was Mikela, Da Costa, Graham Noyce. It's, Graham Noyce was racing with Dad, and obviously Graham Noyce, was the one that took over from my dad, really. He beat him. He was the young 19-year-old, 18, 19, and so it would have been those guys. And then I went obviously adult, in 83. So it would have been, the Mallor, Thorpe, Joe Bay, all of those guys really. And I was racing with them, from 84 onwards, all the ones that sort of went through the next sort of 10 years, racing with. So I suppose we would have looked up to all the American guys, the Rick Johnsons and the, all of those guys, because they were sort of in a different league really. And then when he went to race them, it was like, sort of you were psyched out by them anyway, really. But no, they were. I wouldn't say I wouldn't have had a poster of, I remember when we were sponsored by JT. I remember going down to JT factory, when John Gregory and when they owned it, and you go down there and so we're racing the series, and we used to go and ride in the desert. And you've probably seen years ago, there's pictures of like sand dunes. When everyone used to have them paddle tires, well, that's where it was, right at the back of the JT in Mexico, because the JT factory was right on the border of Mexico, literally. And you used to nip across and ride in the sand dunes there. It was it was dangerous, really. There's people going everywhere, but we did it. So sort of when you went there, all the JT, sponsored riders, they were all the poster boys of, Brock Glover and, everyone who was any good was a JT sponsored rider. So, I spent most of my schoolboy career in the first years of, my adult, I was sponsored by JT, and then I had a Pico, which was, you imagine riding in America when JT was like being sponsored by Fox or someone now, and I had a Pico. It was like not quite as good as JT at the time, It was
cool.
No, yeah,
Very
it weren't quite as cool.
But yeah, I even remember having a fluorescent pink JT armor, pretty much like the armor you got on in that picture in the background. In the early 90s, 91, I had a luminous pink JT armor. I thought that was very cool.
I think in 85 when we did the Golden State, I'm pretty sure we had we wore JT helmets, and I've been wearing JT helmets, and obviously Ray Tilbrook, who was the importer for MDS, I came back and I thought, being 17, 18, I thought, he won't know. I wear my JT helmets that I've been wearing in America, It's like,
oh God.
But I didn't even get past scrutineering because they weren't even AC approved.
Oh no, the old sticker.
They were made by Bell Helmets at the time, because they used to have a little Bell helmet sticker, and so I'd spent 3 months riding in the Golden State, JT helmets. Came home and the scrutineers, you can't wear that. That's not ACU approved. You know, I laugh at the minute because in my office I've got a drawer full of gold ACU stickers from the bike. Yeah, like, and I look at them and I say to people, I said, 20 years ago, I said they would have been gold. I said they'd have been worth 10 of them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you could have literally stood at the end.
When we have helmets come through from, at work. Yeah, I've got a drawer full of them. If anyone wants one,
Here we go.
Yeah.
Not another business there.
Yeah.
When you're actually talking about, you mentioned Ricky Johnson. This man's got history, Ricky Johnson. I did a cool interview with Ricky Johnson, and Warren Edwards come on during the interview, which was really cool. I set it up and everything. It was brilliant. He's just come on. He just put, "Hi Warren, good to see that he's on." He's put, "My first adult race, I lined up next to Mark on the start line at Matcham's. Sounds like the Campbell story here." And all of a sudden, he started screaming and banging his bars to get himself pumped up. I thought, Christ, the man's a loon. And I was a 16-year-old. I was a little terrified. Great introduction to the adults, though.
Yeah, there you go then. You see, 30 years later, it obviously worked.
Yeah, it did.
What you got to be remembered is I'd lined up in America next to Mickey Diamond, who was even harder than that. He got tattoos, long hair. Like, he was only about 20. And Mike Healy, he was even worse. He was bonkers. Mike Healy had turned up at them Golden States, like he was pissed up. He'd been out the night before. Like, turn up in someone's, some girl's Mercedes SL Murky borrowed. Like, he was absolutely bonkers.
Oh, that was cool, his interviews. He's funny, so funny. I loved him when I was a kid. Mike Healy, that's crazy, really. Who would you have said? So you had, we sort of mentioned that rivalry you must have had all through the schoolboys. Who were the other guys through the schoolboys? You had Morrison, and then who would you say was your rivals into the adults as well?
Aaron Nickel was always there. He was, when he was coming through the schoolboys. Aaron he was a lot, probably Kurt won't like if he's watching it or does watch it. Aaron was probably more stylish than Kurt. And then obviously, Aaron stopped to be Kurt's mechanic and, went through his whole career with him. But Kurt was up there. Sean Dubman was always racing on a Suzuki. Sean in the schoolboys was, he was, he'd keep you on your toes. I'm trying to think else with the British Champ. Carl Shaw in the last year of the British Championships, he was a pain in the arse as well. He'd be fast, it's but I suppose when we went adults, the problem with when everyone goes, it's like it is today. Everybody thinks they're going to be the best until they, it's like now, all the kids, the little ones on a 65s and 50s and 80s, the ones that don't go to school and can do all the tabletops when they're 12 and 13, as soon as they get on a big bike, they're no better than anyone else because everyone can do the jump, everyone can, do it, and they disappear. So, that was a, probably the bit that they don't get to the next step because they don't get, or don't believe they're good enough. Exactly what he just said on there. Warren said, I'm shouting next to him, and it's, I'd have probably gone off the start and pulled straight in front of him anyway. It's Watley was the worst. If Watley pulled up beside you on the start and your bike was revving up, he'd stamp your bike into gear when you weren't even looking. He just hit your gear lever. So like when you hit the start gate, he's like,
loads of antics went on.
Jeremy on a day was unstoppable. He was unbelievable, and he was a good laugh. He'd go to Grand Prix. He'd go to Grand Prix on a Friday, and he wouldn't have a wash the whole time he was there. Right, no, he wouldn't have. He'd fly home on Monday morning. He still hadn't had a wash.
That's brilliant. Because he did well even in the 250s, didn't he? On the 250 Grand Prix.
Yeah, when he rode in '86 when we were both doing 250 Grand Prix, he was riding Kajiva, and he got that deal I think at the last minute, and that bike was unbelievable. That was so quick. That was brilliant. you know, it was Japanese bikes then, and then he had the Kajiba, which was, you know, you used to look at it and think, God, that's got funny old brakes, and you know, but yeah, that bike was quick.
Yeah. Saw some great footage with him and Bale and a few others in the 250s. Was
Yeah.
good. And YouTube was on. I think I spotted that on. What would you have said was your favourite race bike then in your whole career, if you had to pin that to one?
Oh, I'd say my 88 500 Honda. That was a good bike. It was basically the same bike as an 87 bike. And we used the suspension for 2 years. It was exactly the same, didn't change anything. Same engine, rode it for 2 years. And then the 89 bike came out, and I remember Trevor Kemp told us we got to ride the new 89 bike at Nantwich, and that was awful. That was terrible. That was horrible. Like the exhaust pipe had got like it didn't make any noise. It was quiet. It wouldn't rev. But it was all because of the exhaust pipe. But we obviously had to ride it standard, and the upside down forks that year was so bad it was unbelievable. And they wouldn't let us swap, put 88 forks. And I think I fell off in the first race and smashed the exhaust pipe up, but we didn't have a spare bike, so I could ride me 88 bike. We were riding this in the last British Championship, so I managed to be able to ride my old bike. I was all right in the second race then, but yeah, that weren't a very good bike, you know. I didn't, and then I broke my leg in that Supercross at the end, so I didn't ride it very much. But I had not very good memories really. But then everybody now, that's what they all keep buying and paying fortunes for. You know, I say to people, I go, well, it weren't any good when it come out, but you know, if you try to ride it with the standard forks it has now and what have you, you know, it was an awful thing.
I was watching that Nantwich coverage with you and Forpin. That was like proper rough as well.
Yeah, that was bumpy as hell there.
Yeah, I was watching it thinking, I see all the riders saying like, "Oh, it's just much rougher now," and I was thinking, Jesus, that was proper rough.
It was as bumpy as anything that was, and that's what I think. That Thorpe's bike there was like unbelievable. When he had that bike, there was I never rode it, but there was a load of people that used to go practicing, and they used to say, "Let's have a go on your bike. Let's have a go on your bike." If there was no one there, and everyone that had a go on it used to like say, "Oh, it's unbelievable." You know, it was like cheating. But I never had a go on it.
I was going to say to Joe, go on it.
No.
Got to go. Makes it worse though when you got to go back. So it was a proper machine, wasn't it? Yeah, it just shows how well you guys did, even when you were racing with him then. That.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got it. I'd like to see someone do a test on that bike in a standard 500 1985 Honda and go around a track on it and just see how much slower they'd be.
Yeah.
Because you know they were unbelievable, those bikes.
Someone else has just mentioned about your race with Morrison. Everyone's mentioned it tonight.
Yeah, that was a good battle.
Yeah. Paul's just said best race he ever saw was Mark and Alan Morrison at the All British Schoolboy in the Wales. Absolutely mental race. We just spoke about that earlier, Paul, so you can catch that earlier on. Ben just put as well about that. I said about Suzuki as well. I don't know. You put Jem was fourth in the 250s, GPs in 86 on the Kajiba, and third in 84 on the Suzuki.
Yeah, no, he was good. That's what I said to you. Like I said to you in Czechoslovakia when we had the crash in the car, and he went and won both races the next day. He won him by a mile. Unbelievable.
Proper talent, isn't it? What was your? Did you have a favourite race number? I know a lot of you guys had numbers that were to do where you were in the championship. Did you have favourite numbers, and was there any reason that certain numbers you had over your career that you liked the best?
I had number 71 my whole schoolboy career, but that was only because I would imagine when I started.
Yeah.
You go to your first race, and the woman who was the secretary went number 71, and that was it, wasn't it? Like,
yeah. Didn't have a lot of choice.
Probably asked for number one and weren't allowed it.
I love these pictures as well. Obviously, I've seen you in the old that pink gear, and that was awesome. Love that. See, it was ahead of the time. That is all pink come in.
Well,
Isn't it?
all of that pink gear would have been when I went to JT factory with John Gregory.
Love that.
That would have been 85, and I had pink gear from there, and then Jackie Vimon had it as well. So it was a bit of
Yeah.
yeah. So, but they never sold that gear in Europe or in England, especially. So Ray Tilbrook would have I'd have worn that without telling him, because he never knew where it come from, but it obviously came from JT from the factory years ago.
Oh, got in trouble for that one then as well.
I think it was all. Yeah, it must have been had Honda all printed on. You could ask them to do anything. They just make it while you sat there.
Like the look of that track. What was that? Where was that?
God knows.
Oh, I like the look of that. Like the dirt on it and all that. It looks very Farley likey.
Yeah, the 125 and 250 British Championships were always sort of on a lot of them were run with sidecar race, weren't they? That's 85. That'd be 85 as well. But I didn't 85. That's 85. That's the support race at Farley. That is.
Packed again, look.
Yeah.
Packed.
Yeah, it was packed. There'd have been thousands of people there. Absolutely thousands of people there,
yeah. That's the picture I think I got in the background at the moment with you.
Yeah, that's at Nantwich, that is.
Yeah, this is that video coverage I got. I think this is it as well, you leading in. Because everyone was saying, Matt, they were asking me about, you could see Thorpe's exhaust was on the left and yours was on the right?
Yeah, it was a completely different bike, wasn't it? I mean, it was like...
How comes that then? So I think Thorpe's is on a
factory. Complete factory.
Yeah.
I see them boots. I used to always wear the Axo Turbo boots, the cheap boots, because I used to moan about them. They used to weigh. They were so heavy, it was unbelievable. It was like having lead weights on your feet. It was unbelievable. I used to moan about them, saying, "Oh, the boots they weigh a ton. Like you can feel them on you." You know, I used to say. Then I used to, if you look at some of them other pictures, I used to have the Axo Turbo boots, which were like the cheap boots. But they were so light, and they had laces in the middle that you pulled up, like and a bit of Velcro. But these things weighed a ton. Then there was worse ones, and I used to do some ones I think that were vented as well, and they weighed even more.
Were they?
Yeah, they used to weigh an absolute ton. They did them boots.
So Gareth Edwards just said the tracks back then had so many line choices compared to today's train tracks.
Yeah, well, there was, there'd be a few tabletops and stuff, but there was always loads of lines, and it's. I was saying that I went with Louis Toombs, my daughter's husband, yesterday. He rode at Blacksall, and I was saying to him, I said, like, when we used to go to the Grand Prix tracks, in Switzerland, and used to go up and down the hills, and used to enter the start lines full chat, and it's a bit like the Ken Hall Trophy race. Used to come out of that up that hill and go down the straight. I mean, it was as flat out and as fast as you could go. And now all they've done is slowed them up, and they say it's more dangerous because it was going too fast, but they're more dangerous now because they keep doing all these stupid jumps.
Yeah, some stupid ones in there, aren't there?
Yeah.
Especially like what you said, you see these top guys, and they're, especially in America, aren't they? They're injured all the time.
Yeah, they just go so fast now. It's ridiculous.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Adam's just saying, what's your opinion on the tracks of today compared to when you were racing? So obviously you get out and watch some of these races.
I'd sit and watch some of the the Grand Prix when you watch them on telly, when it's a flat field outside of the back of a shopping centre, and it's not like what we used to ride on the Grand Prix, and Payerne and Wolan, and all those Grand Prix ones up and down the hills, and I suppose the nearest thing we've still got is Hawkstone is, but even then they wuss out going up the hill, don't they?
Yeah, they don't use that a lot at all, do they? If it's ever like any better, it's out.
If you're good enough to ride there, you're good enough to go up that hill.
Yeah, exactly.
It used to be hard up there. It was like sheer, like rock. And coming down, it was the same then. It was, but you used to gas it.
This is a good question as well from my buddy Kevin, who does my events for me. He's put, back in your day, we used to have so many great British GP riders. What do you think our riders today seem to lack the cutting edge to go all the way with? Obviously Conrad, when he's out, when she's been out at the moment, we only have Watson out there.
It's when we ran the Suzuki, the 250, World Championship team. We always used to say when Jonathan Wright, he used to run it. We used to say everybody has got to the 3 seconds. There's millions of people out there who are good, but they get to within the 3 second gap, and they're 3 seconds a lap, far slower than Hurlings and the top 5 or 6. And a lot of people get to 3 seconds. But they never get past it. It's the people who are good are the people who've just got natural ability. It's that's the difference. It's no difference whether they're riding a motocross bike or they're on a BMX bike or a skateboard or a skier, or they just got that extra special natural ability, haven't they? Which you can make someone who's not brilliant good, but you just can't get them to that next bit.
No.
I like watching that American, those them Lawrence brothers. I mean, they just ride. They've changed the style of riding.
Yeah.
Feet up, round the corners, but they would have done that from just play riding and making themselves that confident.
Yeah.
It's a different style.
Yeah, we sort of seen it, didn't we? When sort of Everts used to sort of do that stand up.
He had to take himself to ride like that because he'd done his knee in, hadn't he?
Yeah, so it's almost like forced him.
Yeah, when you watch Liam Everts ride, he rides very much like that. They've obviously been, trying to get him to ride like that.
Yeah. Now he's got
I've been watching that, and he's been getting quicker and quicker. Just little steps.
Yeah, he got over a few little injuries, and now he's coming into top 5. He'll definitely get there, I'd imagine, with his backing and everything. We've got some nice ones here. There's a nice one there.
That'd have been 84. That would. Yeah, look, even got Weldon bottles in the back of the van. Look.
Yeah, it's proper packed up in there, isn't it?
I don't know why we had them, because I think it must have been the days of when my dad rode and the frames used to break and they used to weld them up between races. But I can't ever remember using them. But they were in there.
This is
that was a 613 X HRC road race truck. That was
it?
Yeah, that was like it used to do 100 mile an hour. That thing did.
Okay, now did it?
Yeah, air brakes and everything. That come from the HRC race team that did in Belgium.
Nice. Didn't mess about in that then. Everyone raced over there.
That was a Honda truck. Honda truck. That was obviously that's where it come from. That's 88, and Rob Kinsey, I think that isn't it? Interviewing me.
Yeah, I think he wrote when I posted up the pictures to announce the interview. I think he wrote on there and said me interviewing you, trying to work out what year and everything on there. I think this is all from the same meeting. I think. Not sure if this is White Park, maybe. Not sure exactly where that is. This is a bit better one of the track. You might recognise it in the background.
Is that Fox Hills, or is it?
I don't think so. No.
It looks rough in the background, doesn't it?
It looks nice and bumpy up and down them hills, but it looks nice.
It don't look like you're going to cheat much on where the hedge was there. Look.
Oh, no, you can't do a lot of cutting through that.
Yeah.
Someone must know who that is, where that track is, but it looks nice. What's that? Is that you, Yarrow Smith, and Nickel?
Yeah.
Over the best days. Maybe Farley. Is it Farley?
87 Farley, that is.
Step. Right, I was trying to work out where this was earlier because I was talking to Adam. I said, "Is this the Fox and Hounds track?" Because he's still involved.
Canada, that's Ling, that is.
Oh, it's Ling. Oh,
Coming
yeah, the bit
down
before
the hill.
little last drop down.
Yeah, that's that race I was on about. I won that race there, and Murray Walker was commentating.
The old F1
Yeah.
Formula 1, yeah.
I went to Goodwood Festival of Speed a few years ago before he died, and he was on a golf buggy, and Paul Bickers and I went there, and we went and introduced ourselves to him, and he could remember everything. He's unbelievable.
Because I didn't even know he did it, Mark, until I watched some coverage on YouTube, and it was at Canada Heights, and it was like, bloody hell, it's Murray Walker.
Yeah.
Really
Murray Walker used to commentate when my dad was riding in all the television races. He used to do all of those. And he obviously lived our way, didn't he? So, but yeah. What's he put on there?
I don't know who wrote that, but he's put still a complete animal, and he always will be. There was a 100-foot tabletop in France, and he was landing 25 feet past it. He must use up a lot of energy doing things like that. He's very aggressive on the track, probably too aggressive, especially in long races. He's fitter than he looks, with his posture is terrible. He walks like an old farmer.
Who's that? Jared saying that, is he?
I don't know. I'm just trying to see who's wrote it. He's a good bloke. He's serious about his racing, but he isn't going to die if he doesn't win. He is enjoying himself on the track and enjoying life. I wonder who wrote that.
Sounds like Jared.
Yeah. It looks like it's his interview, and maybe you're at the bottom, and he's talking about other riders.
I mean, that was him. I think that was a French race, that, because that Chesterfield cigarettes sponsored that. Same thing. If you wore the,
did you get ready for that? Oh, did you?
Yeah, same thing. It was Camel was used to get good money from that. But even when my dad used to race Camel cigarettes and stuff like that, was like unbelievable.
I think that might be Fox.
That's Fox Hills, isn't it?
Oh, the way it was before, wasn't it? Because that was when the start was down in the bottom, wasn't it? In the valley, I remember.
I think so. Yeah, I think that was the second and last round of the British Championship. That was.
Did you have any weird and wonderful superstitions, Mark, with racing? Anything you had to do, or?
No, only I didn't want number 13. It was only because my mum.
Yeah.
And she still made me salute magpies to this day if I see one.
I used to do that.
Yeah.
On the way across.
I think she taught us to do that. Yeah.
Is it two's good luck?
No, I didn't. I checked my petrol 100 times and checked my fuel cap. That was a habit. Yeah. But no, I didn't. It wasn't, there weren't a special pair of pants or anything like that.
No. Maybe that's what it was then. Ben's saying about that Gerard used to do that, a column in the Motocross Rider. Maybe it was probably something about that, and he's writing about you at the bottom, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Is there any other sports that you you like specifically watching? And was there anything you used to like doing as well? Any other sports?
I'd always, at school, if you could do anything really at school rather than lessons, sport, you'd be up for all of that, football, rugby. I hate playing golf. We're going on my son's stag do on a golfing trip, and I hate like in September, and I hate golf.
Yeah.
But no, in that year, '88, when I won the British Championship, I actually done a couple of rounds of the car racing, Honda CRX racing series. I had to stop doing it because obviously I was doing good in the World Championship and the British Championship, so I couldn't really do any more. But you know, it's, you know, we had a go at it, but that was, yeah, it's Merv, yeah.
Oh,
But I did a bit of cars afterwards, but that's serious money. That was
totally like mental, man.
unbelievable. Yeah, it's mad.
Did you have any run-ins with Merv? Everyone, most of the British, I spoke to 4P, Nickel, Herring, Malin, most of them. I always said to him, like, was there any riders you seemed to come
Well,
together?
I was in the support series when I went up, and
Yeah,
Merv was older than me.
yeah.
And the first year of the support, I think I was leading the support championship. Then I broke my foot. I was on my moped messing about on a motorbike, and I fell off on the grass and broke my foot. So I missed Halstead.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everybody had a race with Merv on it. You know,
They all sounded pretty scared of Merv.
I wasn't scared of Merv.
I guess where that Merv the swerve comes.
Yeah, Merv weren't scared of anyone else either.
I was going to say you were.
He gave Merv as good as he got, you know.
Yeah.
But he'd always get out at the start. Every time he'd get out at the start.
Yes. So I suppose sooner or later you always have to come across him anyway with the good starts. And
It's weird though. It's when you're doing all right and you're having a good year and whatever. I used to know that bike I had there. That I used to know that it didn't matter what Grand Prix I went to. I used to know that I'd be able to get out in the top 5 or 6 at the start. You know, if not out at the start. You know, that's the same. Like it was. That's in America, I think.
Yeah, I think it is American GP.
That is America. Yeah, that was that race. That was so hot. It was unbelievable.
So it's crazy. This is a cool picture.
That was answer. That's in Finland.
Is that the answer?
Yeah, that's that full. When I said it was going to be 100 degrees, that was the gear they made. It was the whole thing was vented.
Like yeah,
you see your pants in it.
Yeah.
It helped a bit.
Yeah.
There's that helmet. That's what used to keep making you wear that helmet there. Look, if you painted one, they used to go mad. That's one they used
Yeah,
to
I remember. I had the green one of that. I was on Kawasaki 100. I had the green one, like probably what Kurt's got behind you, probably.
Yeah. I think it's on M Robert one there, isn't he?
Yeah. I had the green one. Took the mouth bit off of it, and I had open face. That's a good, nice picture. Is that like
that's in Finland, that is.
Yeah, it's like quite sandy there, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a good track that was. Never used to get dark though when you used to go there. You used to have to block all the vents up in your motorhome because it was daylight. You used to go to bed at night and there'd be bulldozing the track at 3 o'clock in the morning because it was daylight. Oh. That was 89. I think that was the first race back after I broke my leg.
Yeah. Was that hard to come back on?
Yeah, because I broke my femur. I'd still got my pin in. And it used to rub on every time you walked, it was on the top of your leg.
That bike good?
That was 89. That was horrible. It's got them horrible forks, look.
Yeah, you said about that, didn't you, earlier?
That was obviously a bit better than you used to have to cut all the exhaust out and what have you on it, but no, that was you had to come back and go quicker than you went before. That's the problem. That's what I say to everybody when you get hurt. You've got to come back, go as quick as you were, and go a bit quicker because everyone's got better. You know,
Adam just mentioned this to me earlier. I forgot to bring it up. I've got a picture of this somewhere. Put about Run the Gauntlet. There we go.
Yeah, I didn't do that. My brother did it. Number 5 he is there.
So he did it as well. Who's the other? Do you know who's the other guys?
That was Darren Noddings, Paul Malin's brother, Darren.
Darren Malin, who was brought up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam knew.
I think there was. I don't know. I can't remember who the other ones were, but I remember Justin telling me he jumped out of a helicopter too soon into a lake.
I said to Adam, I said, I can't see Mark on there. So I was right.
No,
anyway.
Justin did it.
Yeah, Justin. That's why I couldn't see it. I said I don't recognise any.
No.
So it's Justin who did it.
Yeah.
Sense now. You see. I don't think I even asked you what was your actual favourite. What was your actual favourite? What was your favourite British Championship track, and then what was your favourite GP track?
I used to always like the Italian Grand Prix tracks. I didn't mind those. Christ, I don't remember what the names of all of them were.
I don't want to pronounce it wrong.
Maggiore. I never rode it Maggiore. I rode it. I can't remember. There was one that had a big bomb hole, but I used to like all the Italian tracks. It's like the first ever track where I did my first ever Grand Prix. I can't remember what track it was. I know it was Italy. And then
was that?
84. That was.
Before you first.
And the English tracks. I used to like Ling. That was all right. I used to like Canada Heights. I used to hate Hawkston Park, even though I used to do all right. I used to hate it.
Yeah.
I think that's why Elliot never liked Hawkston Park, because I used to tell him I hated Hawkston Park. Oh, that's a horrible track that is.
It's nowhere near as rough now. I noticed it's not as deep and all that now, is it?
No.
Lately, it's like quite a lot harder in places and stuff like that. From what I've seen of your guys' coverage, definitely not as loamy and rough as it was then. I've just had Lawrence just come on. Lowell's just come on. He's put, "Hi Mark. Does your leg give you any grief today? I remember seeing you breaking it at Chippenham, the front end folded up in a berm, and we literally heard it snap, followed by the pain. We couldn't believe it."
No, that was at Chippenham. Probably there that day. Yeah. It's a nice. This get up in the morning. It's you've hurt yourself. That's the
worst injury you had.
You are sorry.
Your worst injury you had, Mark, was it?
I think the tibia and fibula was, that was because it took such a long time to heal, and the femur weren't quite so bad because because I broke it in Switzerland and I went straight to like the sports hospital. They put like a pin in that the skiers had, a titanium pin down. But that wasn't so bad because you were only probably a week in Switzerland or wherever it was, 10 days in Switzerland, and then after a few times, because you got a pin in your leg, you can walk, can't you? And you're not in the plaster, so you don't quite think you were as bad. But yeah, the injuries were, when my son was riding Bradley, because he rode all through the schoolboys of Elliot and all them lot, and he hurt himself so many times that broke his femur and leg. That was, the wife and I were like, "That's it, Brad. You're not riding anymore."
Yeah.
We couldn't take it anymore. We were like, "This is, it was like a nightmare." He's worse than me. and he stopped when he was about 16. So, yeah.
Was there any regrets at all from you for any any bikes you rode that you wish you hadn't? I think you mentioned a couple that you.
Kawasaki was broken because the thing broke all the while, and it was. But no one else. But the trouble is, I used to rev it to bits.
Rev it right out.
That's how I used to like the power.
Yeah.
Which, that probably wasn't, the Kawasaki, because it had that power valve and stuff on it. That didn't really, you didn't need to over rev it, but I did. Well, that was the problem. That's why he always used to blame me for over revving it. Alec Wright did.
Did he?
And we tried everything with it, different com rods and different pistons, and but still, I think the French Grand Prix, I was leading in France on it, and 2-3 laps to go, and I'd been quickest in practice and qualifying and whatever, and 2 laps to go, bang, con rod out the bottom, another walk back.
That's frustrating.
But, yeah, it was horrendous. So that knackered 1990 really, and that's why I rode KTM really in 91, because I didn't actually like that Honda in 89. It was the same bike then forever. It's couldn't get on with it really. You know, after I rode the Kawasaki, it was like every week I was like, I didn't like the bike.
It's hard
But
work then.
yeah. There,
Who
there
were
is a
your
lot, there is a lot to that. You know, when people ride something, you either get on with it or you don't. You know, it's
do a certain amount, can't you? Who were your closest friends in and around the paddock when you were racing days? Did you have who were the guys that you were quite friendly with? And
I got on with everybody really. You know, obviously, you know, when I was racing with David and whatever you like that, you know, we used to get on and you know, I don't think there was, you know, it's sort of who your teammates are really.
you spent,
Yeah, you know, obviously when I used to go to America and that, you know, we did a lot of years of that, and you know, I wouldn't trade that for, you know, anything that people say. You know, what were your best years of when you were riding? Is we used to go to America on day after Boxing Day and come back 3 months later. We had no mobile phones. We never used to ring home. I mean, God, it's like I can't imagine. Imagine your kids going somewhere now and like
your mind.
no telephones. When I used to actually ring my mum from a hotel room, she'd actually go mad at me to start with because we hadn't phoned. And I was like, well, we want to ring you for something wrong or we want money.
Yeah, credit card.
Yeah.
Top it up.
No, I got on with, you know, got on with most people and, you know, I wouldn't regret it really. You know, Dave Bickers always used to say to us, there's plenty of time to go to work. He used to race and do everything. He had, you know, he had the best run of, you know, everyone. He did it for years. So yeah, it was. But you know, I stopped. I stopped because I was doing it as a living. We were paid as professional, and you know, the deal was, you know, you've got to buy some tyres and you've got to pay a mechanic. And I was like, well, why am I going to do that? I'll go and get a job. You know, if I want to buy a bike, I'll race. And I think I had about 5 years when I never rode a bike or never went to a race. And then I was in America on holiday in Florida, and I thought, oh, you know, I'm going to do something. I thought I'll do then. Then I thought, well, I might as well go and buy a motocross bike because I can do that. I'm quite good at that. So I sort of did the Eastern Centre and raced in that locally. But bloody Paul Bennett used to ride at the time, and every time I went to a race, he was always in the schoolboys and stuff. And every time I went to a race, he'd be there, and he was always quick. So it was like you used to have to like really have your tongue out because he'd like either beat you or he'd be on your toes like every weekend. But I didn't do it very long.
Adam's laughing. He's put all the 89 CR 500s now a lot cheaper after this interview.
Yeah, for sure. You want to buy an 88? That's the one you want.
88, there you go.
88 is the best bike by far.
That's brilliant.
Without a doubt.
Can you remember your first adult British Championship? When was that? And where was it? Can you remember that one?
God,
I know you said GP.
In 84, probably Streatley.
Oh, yeah.
Streatley Hills there.
Do you remember how you did it? That's one.
Oh, I can't remember. But we used to do, in that year, we used to do 125 and 250. So literally, you'd do the 125 race and you'd come into the pit box and you'd have to change your goggles, have a drink and get on the 250 and do the race, then come in and you might be lucky there was an interval, or there might be a sidecar race. And then you'd race 4 races back to back.
Yeah.
You know, I remember it when I won the British Championship at Matchman's Park the last round. Finished on the 1-2. In fact, I think my brother won the race. And I only had to score a point, I think, to already come second, I think. And I came in, I'd won the British Championship, but there weren't any time to like celebrate because I had to get on the 250 and ride it. It was ready, like, you know, because not everybody did both races. So you didn't even have a chance to and it was muddy that day as well. You did 4 races back to back. You know, it's, you know, when Stephen Everts did it and he did, you know, when they only had 1 race and he did 2, it was, everyone thought it was a big deal. Well, it weren't, was it?
Yeah, not before that, no. That was all we've done before that, wasn't it? If I had to push you on that, who would you consider as the 3 best riders that you've ever competed against in your career? Who would you say?
Obviously David Thorpe, Ricky Johnson, I reckon, and who I was racing when we did 125 Grand Prix, Michel Rinaldi that first year. He was like, I didn't even know who he was, to tell you the truth. You know, we were 16, and you know he was sort of he'd been going a long while, and you know there was guy when we went to the start line that year. You know, he was on a factory Suzuki, but it was from the year before. You know, he was running a bitzer really, but he was pretty quick that year. You know, still, and then he went 250s as well, and he was in that. So, but yeah, he was pretty good. But
Nice.
you know, any of the American ones, because we spent a lot of years racing with American guys, so you know, you used to sort of gauge how good you were really.
I'll just check a couple more questions out here. We've had a great 2.5 hours nearly. I really appreciate your time. Flies by when we're having fun as well, doesn't it? Goes quickly when we're reminiscing. A couple more. I'll just ask you a couple more before we go. Really appreciate it. If you could give any advice, Mark, to any like current youngsters out there that were looking to do professional motocross, what would your advice be to those guys?
Go to school. Because I always used to say when the kids were racing, when we used to go to a British Championship, I used to finish work on a Friday and I used to get to the racetrack, and we were parked 2 miles from the start line. And I used to say, how are these people managed to get here? Like, well, how you know, what did they do? You know, the kids must have gone to school, and then they'd be practicing at Mildenhall on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And you were like, well, how come these kids are here at Mildenhall on a, you know, well, they don't go to school. So, and they all think they're going to be world champion until they get on a big bike. But you know, that's what I was saying to you earlier about, you know, they all think they're good when they're on a little bike because they can do the big jump and they can do the tabletops, but they're only better than everybody until they get on the big bike, you know. And it's, you know, when they're kids, you know. And but you know, you just got to, you know, if you want to do it, obviously you've got to, you know, like I, you know, always said, like, you know, I used to say I want to, you know, be a professional motocross rider and, you know, be world champion. But I was a professional motocross rider. I became British champion, but I never came world champion. You know, it's, you know, you can blame, you know, broken legs and, you know, opportunities that you miss, but you've got to give it a go. But don't waste, you know, especially nowadays, you know, it's, you know, you watch them start lines now, and you know it's disappointing to watch it, because you know I looked today and it said there was 16 riders booked in for Indonesia. You know, what a joke!
It's terrible.
It's terrible. You know, it's, you know, I know when we first did Grand Prix, you know, when Elliot went in them, you know, and Jake and all them, like, they used to take the paying weekends. They didn't qualify, but you know, same thing. There was 100 odd people trying to qualify for 30 places. You know, and there was never a Grand Prix all back 10, 15 years ago where there were 16 riders lined up. Even Japan, they had to qualify, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it's, you know, if they're good, you know, you are good, but they've also got to, you know, remember there's only a few make it, and that's the problem. 3 seconds. That's what I say to everybody. You're 3 seconds too slow. They get to that limit and you're good.
Yeah.
But when you go anywhere in the, you know, you go all around the world, long well everywhere you go, you're 3 seconds allowed too slow from being world champion, you know.
Yeah. Last thing I'll ask you about before we go is I was going to ask you what you've probably obviously seen these. I think one of them was the one I was looking at, was the Stark electric bike, Tortelli and all that was involved in and stuff, and seeing that go. What do you think about the electric side of all that stuff there?
Yeah, I mean, I actually tried to get a Stark dealership,
Did you?
Yeah, so obviously I think that's the way of the future.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have to go that way. It's even on our car side, the electric cars and what have you. It's grown massively over the last 7 years. Whether you got the problem with this lithium and all stuff like that, but I think the future. I used to have a motocross track at a farm we had, and in fact, I had the guy that used to run the Golden State, Mark Peters. He came over and built the track for us.
Oh, did he?
And you could have had a Grand Prix there. The track was absolutely unbelievable in a valley. I used to live next door to Claudia Schiffer.
Did you?
And, yeah, and she owned like all the land like for Coldham Hall, and we had a track built there. Not many people used to come and ride it, but Tommy Searle used to come and ride it, and but you could have had a world championship there. The track was unbelievable. It was in a valley. It was brilliant. But the reason I got an enforcement notice, it went on for about 3.5 years. The council were after us, and in the end, the council gave us an enforcement notice, and we had to knock it down because all they kept pushing me for is for planning. They kept saying, apply for planning, but what they wanted me to do was pay for them to turn the track down. Whereas we got 3.5 years of using it, but the noise that, like when the top ones used to ride, and that's what killed it.
That's the killer, yeah.
The users. I mean, Claudia Schiffer's husband, he had motocross bikes and stuff. They didn't mind, but Ollie and Louie live in the village now where it is, and honestly, you could hear it like it was unbelievable. It was so noisy, when they were in, especially when the Tommy and all them lot used to ride. It was like gassing it mid-air, and but that track that we had there, if that was an electric start bike, they would have had 20 or 30 of them riding around there now, and we wouldn't have got any complaints. Yeah. So I think, for the future, that noise pollution thing is the killer. Jake's a bit lucky that up his, where he's had his track for all them years that he gets away with it, but you can only use it 2 or 3 people, which is what we had. But that's the problem, and you people think where can you have your own track at home and stuff like that? You got to live in the hillbilly land of nowhere, because these 4 strokes and what have you, it's it's going to kill it. But I've seen the videos now, but I haven't actually read a write-up. I saw the Honda one on the video on that, and that looked like with that Japanese rider, it looked like they wouldn't do any more than 10 mile an hour to me. That that video. Have you seen that video of the guy riding around, the Japanese guy on it?
No, I haven't seen that one. No.
Honda one. I don't think it's powerful, because I think it's the guy out of the office riding it, or it is slow.
Really, I hadn't seen that one. I have to check that.
Yeah.
But I've seen Tortelli on the Stark one, and that, to be fair, does look the business, doesn't it? That one, it's like,
yeah, no. That I think it depends what they're going to let them race. What they're going to let them race against. But like I said to you, when we we spoke to them about having a dealership for it, but Gavin Ockey has got it round this way. He's having it. But you buy one bike, and you basically press the button whether you want a 125 or 250F, a 450, or you can have like a 700, like pull your arms out. So one bike does all classes.
Wow.
So you program it. It's literally like, I want a 250F, okay, or a 125, or you want a trail bike. You just touch the buttons or on the whatever you want. So, but with electrics, there's a lot less on the engine, a lot less wear and parts, aren't there?
Yeah. I see them saying like a full battery would do the same as a full tank of fuel, and they were saying they're as quick as these 450s, 4 strokes, and all that.
Yeah, we'll see soon.
Getting used to that, but
But their motocross bikes are a lot of money now as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are, Mark. Yeah, they are. Aren't they, them 450s?
Yeah, it's like mad.
Far away from that. Crazy. It looks like it's the future, though, doesn't it? If you want to keep track of that, I think.
Well, all my grandkids, that's all they'll ride, won't they? Electric.
Oh, yeah.
At least they won't hear them riding them. Not like we used to ride them years ago. Have to put watering cans out.
Yeah, to stop it.
Yeah. only ride when the green watering cans out. They won't have that problem.
Like, no, they won't have that problem. Right, brilliant, Mark. I really appreciate your time, mate. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thanks.
And yeah, hopefully I get to meet you up at Fox Hill.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be great to see you up there. And yeah, you're up there sponsoring it. It should be a great event. It's gonna be a massive end of August.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, can't wait. Hopefully see you there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you very much for your time. Cheers, buddy. Mate. Beautiful. What a legend. Do you know what I'm going to quickly do? Which I can't believe I didn't after all that. I was just like keep getting in Mark's stories were just rolling out. I didn't put that little video on. I'm just going to put that little video on just so I've got this recorded on here as well. You see, it's the video at Nantwich where he's battling with 4P the whole race, and then obviously he launches off this jump, and that's what his dad said about he couldn't believe that the bike didn't kill anyone in the crowd. It was crazy. But I'm just going to put it up just so I got this recorded anyway, and it's on there at the end of it. Let me just go on it, and then I'll forward it on a little bit to the actual crash as well at the end. But I might leave it for half a minute or a minute on a few of the battles with him in 4P, see if it works a minute.
Looking forward to, and they've had time to get their breath back too. And one man there, number 7, on the right-hand side of the screen. At the moment, Thorpe, so he's earning himself the respect of the rise and a few bob in the bank as well. And good luck to him because he's doing it extremely well in fine style. Not only is he giving these lads something to think about, but of course across the world now in motocrossing, this man Thorpe is one they all have to reckon with. He never says die. He charges round the races, tries to get first across the line. He never rides tactically just to be second or third. He always goes out to win, and will always try and find the little bit of line that'll give him that edge to get past the man in front. And he's done it now with Banks, but Banks isn't going to let him get away with it. But in the first leg we saw a good battle before in the end Thorpe rushed off. Then again Thorpe going ever so high, that seemed to be almost a dangerous move, but he's found a point on that berm to throw the bike in the air, turn it in mid-air and bring it back down again, whereas Banks chooses the little bit lower line. So there's still a chance in this one that Thorpe will be pushed that little bit too far by Banks, because Banks, I think Banks nearly lost it. Banks is really going right to the very limit, the very edge of his ability, and he nearly came off then. That man has got tremendous courage, Mark Banks, and we all take our crash hats off to him.
Well, I thought David Thorpe was on his way over the fence then. He shot at that banking, as you say, and onto the grass at the top, under perfect control, but for a minute I thought he was gone. It looked as though he was leaving the circuit. And Mark Banks certainly has a very quick line through the bottom there, and he's not really let David Thorpe out of his sights. They've now pulled away from Perry-Lease. Perry-Lease we saw just briefly there still in the picture. Mark Banks appears to have a bit of trouble with a clutch hand. He's fiddling with the left-hand side of the handlebar. There again you saw. David, you look carefully. He doesn't seem totally happy with the left-hand side of his handlebar. Maybe the clutch lever's dropping loose or falling down or something. I'm not quite sure. Might be impeding.
The berm again went up. He certainly takes them. That lap was 2 minutes dead. That just so the speeds come back again. We just checked the time. It was 2 minutes dead. What a fantastic speed these two boys are rocketing round at. So it's not that Thorpe's slowing. It's that Bank is really beginning to push him hard. I wonder if they get inside 2 minutes. As you're saying, Barry, that course is cutting up, and instead of going slower, they are going faster.
Absolutely incredible now. The machine's bucking front and rear, front and rear. The suspension, as you say, working overtime. Banks taking the tight line. His machine does seem to be every bit as quick as David Thorpe's, definitely, as they go along that bit. And here's Banks again, having another go. He hasn't let up one bit now, and David Thorpe must know that he's got a very determined young man indeed, and there he can see the back end of Mark Banks again. Banks along, opening a fine gap now as they go along towards this downhill drop. Back in front again, leading the world champion again. This must be doing wonders for the morale of Mark Banks. Round that very tricky right-handed bump, down into the bottom. Thorpe sitting in second place again. The back wheel of Mark Banks' machine cutting up. Thorpe didn't take the high line that time, you notice. He followed Mark Banks through in the bottom, jumping high and wide as they come out. over the big jump into the right-hander towards our commentary point and round ahead of us, and still Mark Banks leading David Thorpe.
Well, this man Banks really has come back with a bang, and it makes one wonder if in fact in the first lag as to whether his machine went slightly off song, because we had this sort of battle for so long, and then bit by bit Thorpe went away. It might have been Banks' time, but we've actually been going in this race now for something well over 15 minutes, and Banks is going better and better than ever. Thorpe has got a race on his hands. This great crowd here are urging these two riders on, because they can see also that the established champion is really having his work cut out with Banks, who's riding like a man possessed, and his ability to keep that bike upright when he seems to take, to me, Barry, not always exactly the right line.
He certainly doesn't. He's not reckless, but I think his inexperience shows in certain areas. But by what he lacks in experience, he's making up for in enthusiasm and determination. And he doesn't back that Honda off at all. He keeps it wound right back to the stop at every possible opportunity, and it's just showing he's getting away a little bit from David Thorpe now, showing him the gap, but David Thorpe can't quite get through. Mark Banks taking the wide lines, taking the tight lines where necessary, shutting the door. Now you see cuts across the circuit. There's no way through for Thorpe, bucking from side to side. This is where Thorpe will get the power on if he can, but no, Mark Banks has closed the door again. Thorpe going around the outside, almost into the loose stuff. An absolutely stunning ride, a fantastic performance by Mark Banks, jumping up and down into the run. It's one of the best solo races I've seen for many a long time.
And they're going up on towards that top stretch of the course now, the highest part, and all the crowd could look up and see him against the skyline. And Banks has opened up again another useful 2 or 3 bike lengths, and he's always a bit hairy, scary downhill. He comes down like the clappers, this man. I think the Thorpe descends slower than he does. There are times this man Banks just throws caution entirely to the wind, and Thorpe has to use his skill to close the gap in other parts of the course. Well, this is where we've seen him try and do it before on that high jump. Can he do it this time? Thorpe's going the inside line, likes to get well inside on that corner, but Banks has gone through and made it difficult for him to do it. And again, a lap of around about 2 minutes dead. I put the watch on him at that very point last time through, and that was 2 minutes and just a 100th of a second over 2 minutes. This battle is stretching on. Thorpe's got on the outside, and he's gone high. He went far too high though, but Banks, who momentarily somehow seemed to shut off before he opened the power back on again, dropped the lead, but he's coming back at Thorpe. He's coming back, he's gone round the outside the long way round. He's come back at Thorpe, but Thorpe's found what he wanted. That see if he can hang on in there. And what a turn up the books if he can actually win this second leg, because the time's ticking by and they've been going up something like 20 minutes, and still he's holding Thorpe out of it, and Thorpe couldn't get all the power down that time. What a battle these two boys are having.
This is where he did it last time. He cut the nose off, went around the outside. Banks taking the high line. A bit of adult riding there, a bit of sense in the young lad's head, because he used David Thorpe's line. He didn't want him to swoop round the outside, and he prevented him from doing just that. Thorpe round again, neatly rode around the outside of Banks. Now this could be the turning point. Let's see if Banks can wrest the lead back from David Thorpe, because the world champion is back in the lead, having established supremacy again on the second leg. Now how many more times does he have to fight his way past this flying youngster?
Well, he's putting on so much power then, the back wheel almost stepped out as they go across the finishing line, and my watch said 2 minutes and 2 seconds, so they dropped a couple of seconds then, but still going remarkably quickly. But the little gap opening up now, is Banks getting tired? Has his motor got off song? The two were virtually shoulder to shoulder, but or has this the moment when Thorpe says, well, I better show this young lad a lesson, and really put the pressure. What a beautiful sight, them dropping down there with the sunlight streaming through the trees and illuminating this battle here. They're running alongside the River Weaver now up at Nantwich. We've got this lovely, lovely sight for action, and this must be one of the nicest courses we've been at for an awful long time. The sun shining, the battle going on, the weather very kind to these riders, and they're giving us an absolute out-and-out treat.
Well, I'm positively jumping up and down here, David. This is thrilling. Banks is slipping back now. It does appear that maybe the pressure of the past 20 minutes is telling a little bit on him. It's not surprising, because he's been riding on the limit, on the seat of his pants and on the edge of his teeth, if you know what I mean. He's really been hanging in there, tooth and nail, with David Thorpe, the reigning world champion, reigning British champion. So far ahead in the British Championship this year, the lead looks unassailable, but he's been leading him comfortably for 20 minutes in this race, and that has to tell on anybody, especially a 17-year-old former schoolboy. Terribly high! Banks came off too high and threw it away. Now what a tragedy, but he's up on his feet, limping, but he had to throw it away.
and where's his bike gone? It went straight into the crowd, which shows you the speed and danger of all this lot. It's gone straight through his bike, in fact, is out of sight. It's near our commentary point, in fact. It's gone straight through the crowd, his bike, and Thorpe looking over his shoulder. Oh, what a crying shame that should happen when Banks was really putting the pressure on. That just shows the danger these motocross boys are riding at, always on the edge. They were riding at 10 tenths. In fact, Banks then went at 11 tenths, and his bike took off, and down he came. He landed on his feet, but although the picture didn't actually show the height, I can tell you that they were going something around about 15, 16 feet up in the air and travelling some 30, 40 feet along the ground before they come down. And that's just what happened to that man Banks as he took it. Well, here we're going to see it again. Here's Banks going towards that step jump. He's got the throttle really wound up now. He positions himself back over the back wheel to let himself get the front end up. Now he's got to take his body forward and throw it at the front wheel to come down straight. But he doesn't manage that because the back wheel now is going far too fast. He's having to...
Whoa. Yeah, I just thought I'd get that in there, so I got that recorded on the end. But Jesus, what a battle between him and 4P there. Banks, Mark Banks, obviously going back and forth with 4P there. I believe that might be 85 at Nantwich. But how rough was that? I know we see the natural side of that track and all that, all the ups and downs are beautiful. But how rough was that? Bearing in mind, them boys are on the 500s. Whew, about 30 minutes of that. Imagine that. Have arm pump after 2 corners. But Jesus Christ, that is a proper crash. But yeah, I just thought I'd get that in on the end there, because that was a great battle between him and 4P, and what a wipeout that was. Literally, as Mark said earlier, he was absolutely wide open on that. Yeah, thanks. I see a lot of you. Thanks, Mark, buddy. Thanks, Mick. Yeah, thanks, Wayne. I think Mark mentioned that to you before, didn't it? You could get your shirt signed. Cheers, Barry, for coming on. Thank you guys for all coming on. There was well over 100 online live at some points, which is really cool, which is great. So that was great that everyone come in. I'm sure who that is, but thank you very much. Cheers, buddy. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, definitely, Barry. That was a proper race, wasn't it? Proper old school scrambling there, as they would call it then, wasn't it? Proper old school. I was just going to say as well that when I was going to show Mark that, because I got these cards off of you did mention Jorgen Nielsen, and Jorgen sent me a few of these cards signed after I did his interview, and I was going to show you them as well. There's Jorgen Nielsen. They're like a postcard he sent me over, one of the signed ones. That was how I remembered him. The early 90s, probably 93, I think that was, when he was runner-up, when he should have won it. That was very cool. And that was him probably on the Honda that Mark remembers. The old white power top look down there. Another cool one. If you can see that. That was the cool. If I can show it. That was really cool. This is probably my best bit of memorabilia that I got now, that he signed that look. Jorgen Nielsen. Number 10, Paris Supercross, 1987. How mad is that? Unbelievable. That is off the head, isn't it? Madness. Can't believe that. When he sent me that, I was like, oh my God, because Martin Neary bought it for me brought it to my second union in Cullen. So when he brought that up and said, you're not going to believe what Jorgen sent you, could not believe it. That was awesome. Been a while, mate. Yeah, so we have to get back on him, Scott. I've been talking to loads of Speedway guys and loads of motocross guys, so hopefully you can get some more interviews going. Hi, Tim. Hope you're good, buddy. Stories and a good listen. Yeah, brilliant to hear Mark's stories. Once Mark got into his stories, they were rolling out then, so it was awesome. Sort of half forgotten about all the questions and everything. Then I can see all your comments. Plus, I haven't been on here for a few months. So I was like, oh God. Got into these stories and then I thought, shit, I've got to get back and look at what everyone's saying as well. Plus getting the pictures up there. It was really good. So it was awesome. Remember Mark at Cambridge Juniors, Mugen Bikes, everything was on another level. Great memories and great interview. Thanks, buddy. I'm not sure who that is, but certainly was some great memories tonight. Enjoyed that with Mark. Hopefully I get to meet him at Fox Hill at the Vets, MXDN. All good, Tim. That's good to hear you're good. I see I've been always keeping an eye on the old on the Chambers team on Facebook and everything. Got to get back out to some motocross events. It's my event at the beginning of April, was it? Fulham. I haven't been anywhere, so I need to get back out there. Definitely, obviously, go into Fox Hill for the Vets there. End of August. Where else? Cardiff Speedway. I've only been once, and the whole time it's been going, so we're going there in August. So looking forward to that. But I need to get back out there, take some pictures. Thanks, Martin. Speaking to all sorts, mate. I did. Who was that I was emailing? Oh yeah, I spoke to Talon Voland. He's working in the industry still at a service. I spoke to him a couple of times, just trying to nail down a week. Really, we can do it. Also, did email back because I did message him a couple of times. We've gone back and forth a few times with Jeff Emig, so that'd be really cool if I can get him on. It was only like 2 weeks ago, I think I emailed him. He said, "Is Monday okay?" And I'm like, "Yes, Monday is okay." And but I didn't get hold of him after that, so I'm chasing him up again. So yeah, there's loads I've been talking to. Ah, thanks, Tim. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to come and see a team. I come and see you that time at, I think it was Hawkstone. Maybe that was sort of in the COVID bit weird times. I'm sure that was when I come and took some photos and stuff like that. But yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Got a great setup. Spoke to Tom Grimshaw a few times, and I think I've done a written interview with Tom and speak to his dad a bit and stuff online. It's good to see you boys all doing well and going in the GPs and the British Championship and everything. So yeah, Mick, I've been talking to loads of Speedway guys, loads of motocross guys, but obviously everyone's here, there and everywhere now. It was a lot easier when it was COVID, but much more happier to be out of the COVID. That's how it all started. Entertaining people in the lockdown and everything. So it's a lot harder to get hold of all the riders and everything now, which is obviously a good thing because they're all out busy racing and managing and all that. So yeah, but definitely chasing loads of guys. So I'll update you all on social media anyway. Now I'm going to get back doing some more interviews with the Motocross and Speedway. So looking forward to that. I'll all let you know and keep you all updated. So I hope you're all good. Thanks very much for you all coming on. Really appreciate it. I will speak to you all soon. And August, a bit later on. Literally what, 2.5 hours a month. Plenty of stories to catch up with that a bit later. I think this is going to be recorded to my YouTube channel. You can subscribe. That'd be cool. Be appreciated. You can go on there. It's free to subscribe, and you can watch it in your own time or whenever you've got time. Sit down at night and catch up with it. And there's probably hundreds on there now. On there, if you ever want to catch up with it, so many schoolboy and British legends and world legends and Americans on there. Amazing. I even catch up with it myself and just go through it sometimes, just doing that. Wow, I can't believe I forgot I did that one. That's mental. There's plenty of them on there, so you can catch up with it. But yes, I will speak to you all soon and let you know what's going on. What was he saying there? Some good pictures as well we put up tonight, weren't there? Some love the old school pictures. Some cool backgrounds as well I was putting on then. Some of the people that were taking the pictures, I think it was Sharon as well that come on there tonight who took some of them pictures. I think it was Whiteway Barton. So, as my dad would say, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. We'll leave it on that, shall we? And speak to you all soon. Thanks for everyone that come on. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed it tonight. Got to get back into it. A few nerves was kicking around. I hadn't done it for a couple of months. I don't think it is before my meeting in April. So Just trying to think who it was. I think it was Lance King, the American spear rider, Marnik Bavorts before that, Jeff Matazovic. Yes, literally been a couple of good few months anyway. So let's get him rolling again, shall we? Thanks, buddy. Cheers, Barry. Take care, everyone. Good night and God bless. Speak to you all soon. Ciao.